as we're right into those lows again. You're going to have to let it work, but right now the market's low. Nasdaq's down 1.5%. The last time that happened, obviously I can't even remember. So there it is, man. We're long at
Probably got the 2.
Yeah, okay, we got a long in now. Now we're in the money. Let's just get a little bit out here at 50 on NVIDIA. Nice move here. We're long at 217.30 on NVDA. All part of the master plan, I guess.
Yeah, oh, it's already 11 o'clock. We did trend break on GitLab. Pretty simple. Prior bar high, out. Legs into the prior high, and then into the low of, sorry, VWAP, not the low of the day. If this gets to the low of the day, it's probably a different set of trades. The other name that we're going to be eyeballing, actually, never mind. SMCI is nowhere near VWAP. That's just right back at the LOD. So it's just going to be GitLab for me. We're going to get some jerk chicken. It's probably not going to be very spicy, but it'll be absolutely delicious, and I will take it. There's lots of things that they could do. They could throw some okra on the plate to be a little more West Indian. Like, that's a vegetable that's available. But no, I'll take it, man. I love the jerk chicken lunch. And we'll go back. We'll get the professor. We'll get Joe. Joe's going to be back as well.
Yeah.
In the afternoon. So we'll see you after we buy some jerk chicken, see what's up in small cap world, and then we'll see you back at 2.
Ciao.
I like their new intro. It's always me, like, yeah, in your face, and you're just like,
play it again.
Assassino, let's do that one more time. There we go. Options. Donald, me yelling at you constantly. I like the workout. Of course, there's some squatting there. Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Yes, welcome to the Midday Show. That is your boy Joey Options. I'm Sharif. And we got Gorev, LFG. Ooh. We got Holmes God. Oh. God is omnipresent, brother. He's home everywhere. Long Brady, shout out to Game Craft. Nico, Hangry Wife. We got Jacques. Jacques says, hey, it's going to be my team versus his team. I'm still cheering for you, Jacques, but not for your team. We got Ichiro. We got Durant, Gordon, Benton. Adam, James abroad. Bro, Adam is such a bear, a perma bear. He like texts me at like 12 at night when the market's red. He's like, yes, bro, 20% correction.
Yeah, I know.
Like Adam, man.
Dude, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like a 7% pullback, and then it's gonna rip to new all-time highs.
I know. Let's say hello to some more people. 29, 9173. Jesse Martinez, PMAC, Mike PD Water, Arcane, Blicky Spears, Encouragement, 2023, Jimbo, 98.7. Bo Dian, 208, Rainmaker, 3700. Sharif going to Colombia to Tango. Oh, yes, baby. Oslam, Nathan Fernandez, SM. We got, who else? Bucket Bets. Chum Bucket Bets. There we go. Hangry Wife. Sometimes in your hair, Sharif, Joey gets passionately take it out. Oh, whatever, man. Leave me alone, bro. Custom ATS. We got Joseph Brown. 2 Rich Granny. Parabolic FOMO. JKL. Toddler Premium Hunter. And then we got the Ozan. Ozan Chile. I have an appointment today. I trust you can still manage the show, right? Yes, absolutely, Ozan. We love you. Shut it up. Paddy Rara, Joey. And then one more, the Auspicious Turtle. Good morning to everybody, and most especially, good morning to you, brother.
Yeah. Good morning to everyone.
I haven't talked to you all day, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good, man. We'll survive.
I will survive.
All right. Ooh. All right, what do we got going on here today, guys? Let's get right into things. I better sign into. Okay, we're logged in there, so don't worry.
Oh, all right, guys. Going to be very upset.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to make sure he's not that upset. All right, guys, let's get right into things. I love it when it works out this way, but it's not necessarily always the case. Right out of the gate, we're like, oh, RGTI. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a pop through the volume-weighted average price. So we just hammer something. It was like instantly 40 cents ITM, and I like it when it works out that way. So we take some nice move all the way up to the top, pop, and then we get stopped at, I think it was around 10-15% or so right here, and then continue to slide. I then proceeded to take a couple more attempts on this, but this was 10% of the amount of size I had on this specific trade, and same with this. So it didn't want to go, it didn't want to break through the volume-weighted average price, so that's what happened there with RGTI. 1 for 3 and still green on the day. Now here it is now, SPY continuing its slide here, guys. Q, same thing, and then we also have QUBT. I had the quantum space completely on my radar here today. Circle heading a little bit lower, a high of $140, now down to $123, so that's $17 to the downside, just like that on CRCL. Other than that, man, we're just chilling. We're gonna probably hold on to these gains. If I want to punch some keys, maybe I'll hop into some sim and see what we got going on, but we're gonna hold on to this green, and unless there's a high quality opportunity, we ain't thinking no more. But I know it's a trading show, so maybe we just go over there and button mash on some sim trades there. Now, as for our open interest, we had Netflix continuing to climb higher. We were talking about that $90 mark in the flicks. We're now at $88.53 with a high of approximately $88.77, so a little bit a ways away. $89 is going to be a key level on this name right here, guys, as we slowly start to recover. And Shreve's like, man, why is Netflix climbing higher today? I'm like, someone has to be green. Someone has to be green. So maybe we're going to rotation out of the stronger names into some of the weaker ones. Walmart continuing to climb higher too, guys. You know, this is a big-time favorite of mine. Where is it? Walmart up to $130, a nice uptrend. So maybe a rotation out of some of the semis and into these staple names as Walmart is climbing higher and higher and higher.
All right, man. We're in ERNA a little above 15, a little bit below 15. This one goes. Give me a sec, just setting up my stops on this bad boy. So look, it seems to have a lot of selling in and around 15. Also, it's quite spready. So this one, I'm trying to gauge that you're going to get the best fills if you have resting orders. And there it goes, ripping in the day's high. There we go. We got some shares on here. Let's take out some more. Looking for continuation. You're not likely to get easy continuation, though. At least that's been my observation. This is really going here. Good look, good look. We got some still on, but I'm worried about a sell-off. There's the sell-off right down below 15. It goes, and we get stop out for the remaining amount. And I ended up giving back a lot there. Oh my goodness, this one is all over the map into the day high and then just fails immediately down. I should have taken out the entire thing at the day's high. ERNA, look, it's up 100%, but it's zigging and zagging basically everywhere. Yeah, well, I kind of expected that, the weakness through 15, as it really hasn't been able to print above 15 on the day. That's okay. We'll try to set up a little bit better. I still like that volume weighted average price 10 EMA hold. Perhaps those are the fills I should be looking for, around 14, high 13s. Let's see if we can get something in and around there. Volume weighted average price, which is where my trade would end, is around the $0.5, $13.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a position here with small share size, looking to build my position into the volume weighted average price. Now, this may go without me. What do we got? 14.44. So there's already a seller at around 45. That's fine. Let's see if we can pick some up towards the lower end of the range. There's 14.10. Let's see if we can get a bit of a print anywhere a little bit lower. Looking for single digits. You're not getting single digits, at least right now, on the bit side of the equation. So I'm going to try to get this one towards the lower end of the range with a view to try to take out 15. So what do we got on? 14.44 is showing 23s. That's fine. We've got a bit less than half the position working into this. So let's see what this one has to offer us. My line in the sand on this one will be the loss of VWAP. And the way I see it, VWAP is right around 13.55, 13.50. Can't quite tell at the moment. So ERNA up 100%. But by no means a stable trade. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some in the single digits there for a dip trade. And we're also going to put some in the high 13s. See if we can catch a bid there. But it's already kind of going without me, and I don't have my full position. Back into 14.50 it goes. I realize AEHL is looking good as well, but it just failed the day high. So I want to let that one set up a little bit differently. And then I'm going to focus on ERNA. I think that ERNA can be quite profitable if I'm able to catch it at the right levels, but it's really going without me here. Okay. Into the 2/3 of a dollar it goes. Let's see if it can come back down and we can pick some more up. So that's the one I'm focusing on right now. We've got a bunch on. We've got BuzzFeed, USBC, as I mentioned, AEHL. Cord and BAK also in focus. There's others, BWEN, so we'll get to talking about those, but I just want to see how this trade resolves, and it's not letting me in here, Joey, so I should have been a bit more aggressive with the ad in the low 14s, because there it goes into the high 14s, and it's leaving without me without a full position, so we'll keep tabs on this one here. Let's bring in the side chart quick to show you what I'm looking at there. CORD is the other one I'm looking at, BAK, a very clean holdup of the volume weighted average price. Bottom left to your bottom right, pardon me, of your screen, BWEN, also not a bad looker. And then in the middle there, you see AEHL. Definitely interested in that one. That's already up on the risk calculator, but definitely looking at executing on ERNA first. Okay, so just dip down now. Here it comes into the volume weighted average price. We've got our position on now. Let's see if this one wants to move back above 14. It's showing 14.20. The spread is really opening up now. Almost 50 penny spread there. So let's go ahead and throw in some stops, Joey, below the volume weighted average price.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, we can't keep Netflix down right now. I mean, we'll take it, man. You guys know I'm a shareholder of this name, and I have a Joe, I'm gonna need that Spotify playlist for today. Man, I can't be giving away everything like that, you know what I mean? I was listening to some bangers not too long ago, but I appreciate that super chat. We'll hit the Stone Cold for you. I only hit it a couple of times this morning, so we got a couple more before we hit our limit, and then that's it. Nonetheless, let's see what yeah, man, we got that limit. We got that limit on there. Katina, man, I hope you enjoy your afternoon off. There will be me joining Neil for the afternoon show, I guess we can call it that, the last couple of hours there. Let's see if we can find some high quality opportunities here today, guys. Let's head over to our watch list. DraftKings putting in some work here today, continuing to climb consistent higher lows. And now we're starting to pull back in a little bit here. Consolidation zone, you break through that high and then bang up to 25.62. So not too bad of a look there. How has Caterpillar been doing? This thing is absolutely insane, man. Yeah, I mean, it's only down 3%. Yeah, I'm pretty protective of that playlist. No, obviously, I'm messing around. We can send whatever you guys like. Now, what was I going to pull up here? No, not JD.com. I wanted to pull up some other names here, but it's kind of slipping my mind. But let's see what Home Depot and some of these other names are up to. Home Depot just getting absolutely rinsed. I'm gonna be honest, like and again, I forget what we were talking about yesterday. It was like Nike and some of these retail names, Lululemon, and I don't mean to crap on any of these stocks. I'm just telling you guys how I truly feel. I don't know if there's like this might be a little bit of an exaggeration. I don't know if there's a worse sector that you can invest your money into than the retail space. Like, if this is the most popular brand on the planet and it does this, like, name it. I don't think you can name me a more popular brand. Maybe Adidas. I don't even know if that's publicly traded or not. But if you're down 50%, then what good is it really, in my opinion? So that might be a hot take. It may be me being a little bit too real and just saying what's on my mind. But I don't think I wouldn't invest in the retail space with Sharif's money, to be honest with you. So. Yeah, or Sean's or Neil's, to be honest with you. So yeah, I just not. Sean, what do you got? I know you got Lululemon though. Yeah, well, we already got Joe and Katina Capital, man. So yeah, so he would have to pass that through my desk in order for us to get some retail names, and I would personally deny it. But if he wants to put in a little side cash on that, then. He sold his target. So there we go. We're already off to a good start on that one. We're exiting out of the retail space, and I don't know what we're going to grab up here. I was saying, hey, man, maybe we should allocate some more JPM. We like the dividend. It's sold off, and we know that the banks, all they do is win. So on any form of a pullback, let's get involved in that. But DRAM, to move a little bit aside here, Sharif, we had a high of $55, a little bit north of that here, $56.26, now down to $50. So that's a 10% drop just like that, guys. Is this going to be a good opportunity to get involved in some DRAM? Maybe. I'm going to wait for $45, then maybe we'll start to grab a little bit more. I do want to grab some more JPM. Full disclosure, I'm in the CDR, okay? So I'm in the Canadian Depository Receipts, so I don't actually own the one that's on the NYSE. But it's the same thing. You're in the CDR? Yeah, exactly. So I grabbed some of that there. Amazon, what are you up to? 278 high, you're down 5% just like that in a day. And the same thing with NVDA. We pull back pretty aggressively, down 3.25 roughly off of that level. So I wouldn't be surprised. This isn't going to be a massive like capitulation event, in my opinion. I think you're going to see a little bit of a pullback. We are slightly extended, but then it's just a matter of time until we climb back to all-time highs.
All right, stopped out of ERNA. We'll go negative on the day as a result of this. It's halted down. Thankfully, got the hell out of there before it even came close to the halt level. Halt level 1295. Halt time 11:12:38. Tap showing 1277. Halt price 1295. So we're below the halt price already. That means it goes on to Uncle Sheriff's shit list. Let's go. We're going to keep an eye now on AEHL and USBC because these are, well, quite frankly, the best looking to as well. Let's not forget about CORD. CORD is a lot slower of a mover and not really up as much as the other. CORD about 18 1/5. USBC is up 13 1/2. And AEHL is up 51.01. So it feels like AEHL, a bit of a bull flag, bull pennant consolidation. You've got some higher lows, but you also have lower highs. So looking for this one to resolve some way, somehow. We're going to keep an eye out on that. But Cord just got into the high of the day again, into 632. Very, very stair-step uppy, kind of this name. Now, it is a little spready from what I can see on my, from on my scanner there. I'm seeing, no. It just tightened up, 2 penny spread. Okay, it was wider. I saw 7 moments ago. So let's load up CORD on a trading screen. We can get a better look at how this one is trading. CORD on the NQ. No. New York. No. MX. Okay. So automatically under suspicion. Okay. As a result of the gateway, or sorry, the exchange on which it trades. CORD is not a bad look, guys. I'm kidding, of course, but it is a little bit light on volume on the day. 2.75 million shares on a 6 1/3 name, so that's something to keep an eye out for there. But I also want to mention USBC. USBC stair-stepping up. Now, oh, what do we got? The jerk chicken. Yes, that looks pretty good. I like the rice as well.
I can smell the coconut water. Look at that. That's a nice, pretty good cook right there on that side.
You like that coleslaw, eh?
I like the cabbage.
All right.
Man.
USBC on the NQ. No, Joey, this one is on the MX as well. So USBC really, really up here. This is a 67 penny name. So we're going to keep an eye out on this one. We do have a 68.70 area high. It has been putting in higher highs and higher lows. So let's keep an eye out on this one. For the moment, we're going to pause for a second. We're going to go to Adair.
Just be aware here, guys. Keep an eye on some of these nuclear plays. They're all at intraday lows, like a lot of stocks today. But I'll pull up OKLO because they actually report earnings tonight. Seeing reports that the U.S. Energy Department is considering a plan to finance billions of dollars here in long-term nuclear reactor building, specifically parts that have long lead times. So again, nuclear reactor investments reportedly being considered here by the Energy Department. This is reportedly coming from the head of the Nuclear Energy Institute. If I get more details, I'll let you know. But again, OKLO earnings tonight. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, good call out, Scott. TDIC. Another good one. The reason this didn't make it onto my list is because when I pulled it up, it was still trading below VWAP, but I did see that it obviously had the potential. What I say with this one, Scott, is watch out for the reversion, especially since it's done it before. It has a tendency to do this, whether it's at 5 a.m. or whether it's at 9:30 or whether it is right now, because it's kind of doing the same thing. 209 high, dropping below 2 into 197. So be on the lookout here. TDIC is a mover. My suggestion, though, at least the way I see it at the moment, is to try to bottom feed here. Pick it up off the area lows because it seems to kind of hang out at the area lows. And then, you know, who knows when the big buyer comes in, but they've come in 3 times today and they pushed this up pretty aggressively. But there's aggressive profit taking and or short selling at these levels as well. So something to keep an eye out on. It looks like AEHL just dipped into 2, kind of breaking down, but holding above the 10 EMA and the volume weighted average price and Cord. CORD just keeps making higher highs, man. It is really moving here off that 620. Now it's at 638. Could be at the 6.5 shortly here, Joey.
Good stuff. I forgot to mention some of our individuals over there on TikTok, so we'll do that right now. Randy. Oh, okay.
Randy.
All right, that's interesting. Fifi Musa, what's going on? Joban, Unknown Shadow, Athlic Nick, LOL Daily, Annan, David, Shara, Shamar, Oakley, KTA, ADI, Fata, Black Sheep Comedy, all right, Tony, and Scarlet. What's up, Rock Picker? All right, I like that one. Rock Picker. Yeah, really picking rocks, man. Picking rocks, kicking rocks, doing that, doing all of those types of things. All right, guys, let's get right back into these markets. Now, as for Sandus, you can see that we're off of that $1,600 high, now down to $1,415. I've seen some nice prints on the lows here on QBTS, but I don't know if we're ready to pick some bottoms just yet, or pick rocks, essentially. We want to be a little bit more patient, allow it to form a base, and then maybe we'll get some form of a curl over. The thing is, I would rather just try to find a short entry. The same thing here happening in the SPY and the NASDAQ. You can see these hammer candles starting to form, and they're on volume. So things might take a little bit of time to turn around, considering the momentum is definitely to the downside. We might not get that elastic and that snapback effect, considering the market seems pretty weak, and the chips are weak here today as well. So, I mean, with the space that was...
Chips are down?
Yeah.
Get it? Chips are down. You don't know the expression when the chips are down?
No.
Okay. All right.
What is it from?
No, it's just an expression.
What does it mean? Just things are down?
It's a fan.
All right, well, all right. Maybe I would go with the...
Chips are down. What would you go with?
I'm slow is what I was about.
No, I
to
thought
say.
you were going to go with something else.
No, what was that?
Okay.
I don't know. I thought you had a different expression. I thought you were going to say, I would go with, and then...
No, I was going to go with I'm slow. That's why.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
All right. It's a poker term? All right, man. Joey. Yeah, I mean, hey, man, can't get everything. But nonetheless, Circle, we were already talking about this one, guys, and Coinbase. I'm still waiting for this name to have a little bit stronger of a move and a breakthrough, but that doesn't seem to be the narrative. And I haven't even looked at Bitcoin today. Let's pull up Bitcoin to see what it's up to. Just a choppy mess. At least it's not completely selling like the rest of the market, even though we are still slightly down. I thought at some point throughout the session that we were going to fill this gap here. Right, so I'm thinking potential long on IBIT, and then it can fill this gap by the end of the day if it decides to enter, which it did earlier in the session around 825, and then it continued to climb to 46.31. So other than that, guys, I'm just relaxing. We're waiting for a high quality opportunity. If we can get any form of a pullback as the quantum space is continuously selling here, I thought we would get the break. Oh no, why did we do that here, Sharif? Why is it doing that again?
What? The charts?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always in a good mood.
No, see, I tried to, okay, there. Please work for us. Okay, bang, yes, all right. So my second entries here on RGTI were actually, so we got this pop here off of this initial candle, and then we tried the second attempts at the break of this trend line and the break of the volume weighted average price, but it was just met by extreme defense and then eventually broke down. That's why I didn't hold on to those positions, and I'm happy that we didn't do that.
All right, man, we're still holding. Well, we're still holding. We got into AEHL at 12s. It's showing 15s. I'm looking for a recovery above prior bar high. So the 1115 bar is 219. We just flashed 16s. We're kind of changing trend, but we're a little consolidated. I feel like there's better trades at the moment. I really shouldn't be focusing as much on AEHL. That's just my feeling, especially with this downtrend still intact, quite frankly. The lower highs are very much intact. So I feel like if I get out of this, it's going to rip. So I really want to focus on something else like CORD or BWEN. But AEHL keeps popping off into the 16 penny area. I'm just going to get out of it here. We'll take the break-even trade and go. Let me focus on what is actually moving. It's certainly not ERNA. That definitely looks like a short. CORD at 638, and it's looking like it could hit that $0.50, if not more, pretty soon. Now, you do see a lot of support at 630. So I'm just going to set up my risk calculator for an entry on CORD. And based upon kind of generally the $0.25 holding there, which is more than I'd really want to give it. I want to give it to the half dollar there. So let's go ahead and punch into that. No, it's not letting me in. That means it is blocked in our system. Yeah. So we won't be able to trade CORD, which is fine. Probably doesn't do that much volume, but it is moving. So 640, 641. It's really on its horse here. CORD is going to hit the $0.50 pretty soon. There's 641, 642 incoming. So watch out for CORD. It is moving up there. 642, 643 could be moments away. Let's check if we can trade BWEN. Let's see if that one is good to go. Is that, no, that's not on the MX, right? That's on the NASDAQ. Nice, okay. So that one's also right into that $3 area. 296 is the area high, and very, very clean holds, by the way, of the 10 EMA on the 5 on BWEN. So right now, showing 292, but it could be on the way to 3. Let's see if we can trade this one over here. Before we do that, let's just make sure the charts are working on the NQ. It's going to take a small position. Yes, okay, good. So this one is tradable for us, and there it is, ripping. As soon as we get into like one, I got into one share there just so I can see if I can get in, and here's 298. So on the way to 3, let's see what kind of resistance we're going to encounter at 3, or whether we rip through that $3. There's 299 that just flashed. High of the day is 299, by the way. Good look here on BWEN. Expect resistance, though. I mean, at $3, that's typically the case. And now we can see exactly what's waiting for us. So a lot of wattage there, waiting right at 3. What I want to see, though, is whether or not that wattage gets taken off, but we don't ascend. That way we'll know, you know, it's an iceberg order. And then we'll be able to kind of adjust accordingly. So initial resistance here at 3. On BWEN, it's up a respectable amount, right? 45 1/3%. It's going to be on a lot of people's radar because it's going to be towards the top end of your scanner there if you're sorting by percentage up on the day. So let's see what this one does with 3. I don't need to get in here. Now I know that it's tradable. I want to see if it clears 3 and clears 3 decisively. We'll use that as support. Otherwise, if it dips into 290, I feel that that's also an area of local support. You can see we kind of rejected 290 there, came back down, held that 275, then rocketed right up to 3. Uh-oh. Big gap ahead for WOK if it makes it, Sharif. Let's have a look, man. Shout out to my man, Adam James abroad. Adam, where are you right now? Let us know, brother, because Adam's always traveling, as we know. So let's look at Work Medical Technology. Let's have a look on the 5. Great call out, Adam. And I don't even really know you for being a small cap gapper kind of guy. I see you trading other names. But look, this is still negative on the day, but it's making a move here. Now, it had a big afternoon yesterday, as we saw. What time did it start breaking out? At around, feels like 3:30, 3:25. This thing really started ripping. Now, it had been doing volume all day, to be fair, right? But from that $1.76 to the high that we got into 670, it went up 282%. No wonder I don't know about this, because I wasn't around for this one in the afternoon. Obviously, we're a little bit below that $4 area. $4 is about where we closed out yesterday when all was said and done at 4 o'clock. It looks like it sold off basically the rest of the afternoon, but here it is again, making a move. So WOK has already made its way onto the side chart. We're going to take off the hot garbage ERNA because it single-handedly put me decidedly negative on the day, but whatever. But there goes BWEN. It's taking out 3, and I'm very interested in adding here, especially since this one seems to be a bit slower of a mover. So BWN in focus, guys. It's either 290 of an add for me, or if it clears 3 decisively, we're just going to add and use 3 as support, Joey.
All right, good stuff. I'll put some names in the chat, guys. We'll go over them. NVDA short says Laurel. Yeah, I mean, it's continuously selling here. And I'm looking at the overall market. We have the SPY and the Qs off the highs. And it looks like it's going to be one of those sessions where you don't have buyers really step in. So we'll look for that pullback. It might come in a half an hour or so, but then we'll look to just potentially sell the dip. Joe, maybe it's that day again where signals don't work, need to wait for bigger key levels. Yeah, you know what, Gorb? I think today is one of those sessions, as I was just mentioning, is that you wait for the pullback, because look at this momentum to the downside. And I'm just getting the hunch that if we do get any form of one, it's going to be in the latter half of the session. And I'm talking like the 2 o'clock, 2:30 hour, where it's not even that deep and you might get back that move back towards the volume weighted average price. So that's what I'm going to be patient and wait for. Just due to the fact it's like, okay, why do we want to try to catch this? I'm not going to call it a falling knife, but we are selling aggressively. We had a high of approximately 713 here on the day, and then now we're trading at 699 on the triple Qs, right? So, and you can see from each individual print that we're pretty weak. And even look at the volume by time profile, you can even see that the volume starts to uptick when we start to sell. And look how modest and low the volume is on each individual pullback, so we can use this for a gauge. And there was multiple signals that I was looking at earlier today that just kept getting blown past. I think QBTS was one of them on the 1 minute time frame. I'm like, okay, let's see how we react around this specific level. But then it's like, no, see you later. We're going to establish a new low of the day. And that's why I was saying wait for a consolidative base, and then maybe you can get some form of a slow curl over. So this would be a pretty good signal to look for a long attempt if it wasn't so weak and the overall session wasn't. Why? Because you have this engulfing volume print. It's the second largest of the day, followed by an indecision print that closes complete. But then you get a bounce, reject of a $22 level, and then you now put in a new low of the day. So as long as we form this base for a little bit longer, 2160s, we climb up, we do a couple of liquidity grabs, but I want to see enough data printed, and I'm talking about 15, 20, 25 minutes where we've based out, and then we can try to catch the lower end of the range for somewhat of a pullback. I don't think it's going to be the deepest of pullbacks here today, but then again, what do I know? But I'm just going from the overall sentiment of the session, that it's going to be a weak one. We were expecting the pullback, and I was talking about this for quite some time within the chip space, and then now we're slowly starting to see that form. Now, as for the larger names like Micron, you can see we had a high of approximately 782. That thing's down $50 here today. So we're starting to see some discounts already in them. 782 down to 736 with a low of around 732. So $50 on the nose. And I mean, if we look at the grand scheme of things, it's nothing crazy, but I talked about these prints and how we started to expand in the intraday sessions higher up into the move. And then you have something along those lines where I think it's just a good display of, hey, maybe we start to see some profit taking and maybe some shorts engaging as well too. Adara, what do you have?
It's time to talk crypto, which is right now trying very hard to hold on to that $80,000 level, currently trading around 80.2. But as you can see, below yesterday's low. We'll zoom out in the weekly to kind of see some context for this. So we had a nice push up last week, as we know, unable to break above 84,000. Couldn't even get above 83K. But as of right now, so far this week, again, only 2 days into the week, down about 2 1/3%. And trying to hold on to that 80K level. Now, CPI, 3 of the 4 prints did come in a little bit hotter than expected. Only print that was in line was non-core CPI month over month. Now, I'm seeing some people attribute this to both the move down in the market and also the move down in Bitcoin. Now, there's one thing I want to mention as well. To shout out Darwin in our chat, who I know mentioned this earlier today in the chat, I believe, but we usually get some weakness in the market as we get new Fed chairs confirmed. This infographic, which I did not make, this is from Yahoo Finance, shows what happens to Bitcoin after new Fed chairs come in. So as you can see, even with Jerome Powell just being reconfirmed as the Fed chair in 2022, does come with a bit of a drawdown in Bitcoin. So let's wait and see what happens here upon the confirmation of Kevin Warsh, which again we are expecting imminently because Fed Chair Powell's term expires in 3 days on May 15th, 2026. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adara. I have a couple more things. Do you want to touch on something? You want to touch on something? Okay. So as for Ethereum, we're going to talk a little bit more crypto. And I see Neil take a short on BMNR. I like this. I mean, this thing is down to $21, and we had, what was our previous all-time high on this? I mean, at some point, we know from the cyclical nature of this thing that it takes a while for it to get going again. But I'm looking at this as a leverage play, and the gentleman did a poll yesterday, and I forget what names were on it, but then MSTR happened to fall, and I believe it was Robinhood MSTR, and I believe the question was along the lines, what would you buy right now, or something, right? And I said MSTR. Why? And this is just me building my case, because this is a leverage play. Meanwhile, while Bitcoin's only up about 25% off of the lows, you had an 80+% return in MSTR. Now, can it get hit as hard? Absolutely. But if we're looking for total percentage gain, maybe MSTR and BMNR could be a good potential buy off of the lows. You just need to be more patient. And I was just joking with myself. I wrote it down here this morning. Joey Notepad over here, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll buy some BMNR in a year for when Ethereum decides that it wants to run again. Because we've seen this before. I'm going to pull up the actual underlying asset right now, and we can see that it goes on these runs, but then it sells off 50% and then takes a while for it to really start to recover. So here it is from April to 25, you climb, in about a half of a year, you climb 235%. But then in half the duration, or relatively a little bit less, you lose 62%. And you just see this consistent flow of that after it sells off, it takes some time for it to recover. So if we're gonna go by what it's done before in the past, right? Like you go on this big monstrous run up to $4,849, but then it takes a couple of years for it to get back to where it was before. So if we're patient and we sit on our hands for a little bit longer, come closer to the next Bitcoin halving cycle, maybe we see Ethereum start to participate if Bitcoin decides to rally in the rally as well too. And with that being said, some of the treasury plays might be the way to go via BMNR and MSTR.
All right, man. AEHL is really going here, ripping up 249 high. It's all over the place. It makes a high, now it's dropping a little bit down. We'll keep an eye out on this one, but I got a new position here with USBC. Let's see if this one can really start going. What do we have on? We have 70s, it's flashing 72. My 1R is 73. Let's see if we can get up in and around that area now, showing 71.5. The high of the day is 71.99. So, you know, we just got right back into that area high. No continuation. I do expect resistance in and around there. Now, I had a failed attempt at BWEN, tried to hold for 3. We did have an initially good trade on it into 305. We took out the high of the day to 315. It came back down to 3. I was looking to defend 3 pretty strictly. It didn't hold up, so we got stopped out. But look, it's still dilly-dallying here towards $3. So prior bar low on this one is around 294 or so. Something to keep in mind there because we're showing 303. So if you wanted to get in, you could give it to prior bar low if you have a bias that this one goes. It does feel like it might be on the move here. So let's give this one, what did I say, 294, right? It's still an engulfed candle pretty much. So yeah, we'll keep tabs on that one. I just want to see what my USBC trade does because it's right back into that area high, 71.99. It's showing me 71.87. Let's see if it can get through that level. But BWEN right back, you know, into that 3, a little above 3, a little bit below 3. So I'm unsure how to feel about this one, but it feels like AEHL is, yeah, that one's hanging out around the 3rd. Okay, well, we'll let that one go. All right, so USBC still hanging out at around 71.9, packing the patience, looking for a breach of 72 because we really haven't had anything at 72 quite yet, showing me 88s now. We got good shares on this one. Let's see if it can pump up into the dollar. You never really know how this one's going to act, especially if you're around that $0.75 area. Now, this one is on the MX, so if it does halt, we won't be able to see the theoretical auction price, so we'll have to fly blind during the halt. But hey, man, some of the best, you know, halting names and the more parabolic names are on the MX, and that's something we typically see. To be fair, though, some of the ones that rinse you as well also happen to be on the MX. So this one is guilty until proven innocent at some later point. We'll have to wait and see exactly there. So yeah, just what's going on over there, Katina Man? The Katina Man's long NVIDIA 215. So you got, where's the dollar club over here, man? I don't understand where it went. So you got a 2-banger there, Katina Man. I don't know where the hell it went, but it's no longer on my stream deck. We'll have to figure out where that bad boy went. So continuing to watch USBC here, Joey, not taking out any profits towards the area high, but now we've got a bit of a double top at around 71.99. So that could be a bit of a problem here for the longs. Let's see if we can get through some of these sell areas.
Absolutely. We had a super chat there, Assassino, if we want to pull that one up. I know what the question was. So what are we thinking here for NVDA's earnings? Speaking of, we may as well just touch base on this. Do you think NVDA rises after earnings or sells? I mean, if we look at its past history, it typically doesn't exceed outside of its growth cycle. I don't think it really exceeds its expected move. We'll take a look at that momentarily. But I already built my bull case on this name. I think it's its turn to shine right now. You can see that it formed a base right off of these lows, 214. So nice work there from Katina Man. Yeah, I would rather put my money on the climb than the sell. I think that's, for me, in my opinion, that's a safe bet considering what we're seeing right now. Today is just a blip in the radar in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, we know that no, you're good, Katina Man. I mean, other than that, like, I believe that we're going to continue to climb. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I'm just getting this hunch I'm not going to say by the end of the year, but probably before that. I don't know, 250 feels like a good level for me here at some point throughout the summer in NVDA. So I'm going to call that right now. I think that we're going to continue to climb. That's why I will always buy more of this name. I will forever be long NVDA, even though it offers a not a very good dividend, but hey, man, we'll take that. If they ever up that divvy, then hey, we're going to be sitting pretty in Suntan City there, Sharif. So yeah, forever long this name. I'll never bet against the largest market capitalization company on the planet. Now, moving forward, I'm still looking for a trade here, guys. Sharif's, yes.
Finally, bro, I couldn't catch a dub today for my life.
All right, well, you got one
yeah,
now.
we got one now, man.
All right,
USBC's going. All right, good. We got good shares on this one, too. Let's see if we can kind of continue into 74, 73.5 right now on USBC. High a day on this monster. What do we get? We got 73, so now we're showing 73 1/3. That's 1R for me on this one, which is good news. We're still decidedly negative on the day, looking to get out of it. And then now looking now for, let me just flip to my other one over here, USBC. So 2R for me is 76. Let's go ahead and post at that level. There's 74, Joey. Okay, so the new high of day. There's 74, there's 74 1/4. This one's on its horse. Let's see if we can just wet the beak here. No, let's not do that. Let's let it actually materialize. So 76, we're looking for 2R now at 76. Now, I did get into a small position over here on BWEN. I'm giving to the red candle low, which is 293. If it doesn't hold up above that red candle low, I'm talking about the 5-minute candle, the 11:30 5-minute candle, then we're gonzino. But I'm seeing a topping tail candle now coming on USBC. So 74.26 high, dipping back into 72. Looks like there's a lot of profit taking and or short selling at this level. Didn't anticipate this, was looking for more continuation at least into 75. Let's pack the patience over here. And we'll see what we get. I see AEHL is making a big move up. It looks like it wants to take out 250 with a 249 high. We want to get involved with that one too. So definitely looking at working my way into AEHL. But for the moment, kind of a little bit busy with USBC and BWEN. Back into 73 we go here with USBC. It's only up 42 some odd percent, but I like the way that this one is stair-stepping up. It doesn't mean it's going to continue for that long. I'm not in AEHL, Taylor, brother. I'm keeping an eye on it, though, but I'm not in it quite yet. We'll see what it does at around that $0.25. It's dipping down now into that set $0.25. So we're going to keep tabs on that, Joey, looking to execute here on AEHL.
Good stuff. I have a couple of mentions here. What do I think of RXT? Yeah, let's pull up that bad boy, and then we're going to take a look at Tesla long. No, I think it's sell the pullback, right? If you get any form of a pullback, I would look for the continuation to the downside here today. Now, RXT, Rackspace Technologies. Okay. I'm not overly familiar with this name. Smaller in price, obviously, $5. It's looking pretty good here today, considering it's not selling with the overall market, but typically these names go without. But what I am going to look at is this, and that's some pretty nice returns in the span of a couple of sessions here. 140% in the span of 2 days. So last Wednesday, I believe we're going to market that. So a couple of trading sessions, bam, off to the races. It goes on RXT. Now, as for Tesla, are we going to be looking for a long? It's looking pretty good. I mean, if the volume is there, actually, let's go back to RXT for a second. If the volume is there and you can see it really start to expand and pick up, then there's no need. There is a gap fill to the downside, and if you get a retest at 274, the thing is, Sharif would definitely be able to talk a little bit more about it. A couple of days, these names are really in play, and then they go MIA for quite some time. Yeah. All right. Now, let's take a look at Tesla and see what we have going on over here. Tesla long. Again, I'm not going to disagree on the long because it's displaying itself. I think the following question is, how much of a continuation to the top side are you looking? Are we talking about a full-blown recovery like we've seen in yesterday's session? I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, right? Like we were below the volume-weighted average price until 11 o'clock roughly, and then we didn't look back. Now, we're sitting at 11:43, almost the noon hour, and we've yet to have our pullback towards the volume-weighted average price. I think this is more or less going to be a cover rally as the big boys slowly start to walk away for lunch, right? Like you have the Wall Street boys who are just ready to go and do whatever they're going to do. there. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You get some form of a pullback, but the question is, how deep is this pullback going to be? And is it worth buying, or is it just worth selling the essential pullback? All right, guys, time for an interview. We have a special guest here today with Adara. Let's send it over.
Get it, Joey.
Very excited to welcome Dwayne Nelson to the show. He is the president and CEO of Resolve Technologies, RZL. Thank you so much for being here with us, Dwayne. How are you doing today?
Great. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Of course, let's get right into it then. So Resolve is targeting an existing market, which is currently dominated by cyanide, actually. So can you tell us about the size of this market and why your company offers more than just a cyanide replacement?
Yeah, absolutely. The global gold production market's in excess of $450 billion a year. And over 80% of that global gold production relies on the use of cyanide. And we've developed an alternative to cyanide that offers the same recoveries, the same leach kinetics at the same price, but it's relatively non-toxic. You can put your hands in it. There's no off-gassing. It's safe for the environment, safe for communities. But most importantly is that cyanide is so restricted that the majority of the deposits around the world can't go into production simply because of the cyanide prohibitions and sometimes the ineffectiveness of cyanide. And what we're talking about is potentially 3 times the size of the current gold market. It could be put into production with the right process. And we believe Resolve is that process.
Just building on that here, your company has framed Resolve as a process platform rather than just simply a bottle of reagent. So can you get a little bit more into that distinction for our audience here?
Yeah, it's really important to understand that it's unlike, it's similar to cyanide from a chemistry standpoint, but from a back end perspective, the recovery of the gold, once it's been dissolved into solution in Resolve, the recovery is almost identical to that of cyanide. You simply pass that solution through carbon or electroplating, and the gold is recovered there, but then the solution goes back around for reuse. So it's a closed loop platform where that means that there's nothing going into the environment. There's no effluent. As I said before, there's no off-gassing. So it's a complete turnkey solution for the gold miners. And they don't have to change their technology at all. It relies on the existing infrastructure, existing recovery. All of the processes remain the same. So we believe that's why we're going to have a very high adoption rate in this sector.
Let's get into how your business model works as well, specifically with regards to royalties. So tell us a little bit about the model and what extent of market penetration Resolve needs to generate significant revenue.
Yeah, the mining sector, funny enough, is actually very conservative with respect to its adoption of any new technologies. As I said before, the big difference here is that we have something that they're very familiar with. But the way that we're breaking into this market is even more important. We're going out through the existing channels. So we've signed letters of understanding and NDAs with 6 multi-billion-dollar chemical manufacturers globally. And we're going to be licensing the technology to them, and they pay us a royalty, and they push it downstream to their existing clients. And we're talking about companies here that are already selling almost a million tons of cyanide per year, valued at some close to $3 billion. And so that really accelerates our commercialization. It gives us a very low capital startup. We don't have to establish global manufacturing and distribution channels. We use theirs, and that really will accelerate our commercialization and really help with the adoption of the sector.
Makes sense. And I think also because you just mentioned here some of these chemical and manufacturing companies, I want to get a little bit more here into other potential strategic partners for your business. Can you tell us about the possibility of strategic partners and how the right partner could accelerate your commercialization even further?
Yeah, that's really, partners are the key here. We've already partnered with some of the largest electrowinning or post-process companies. We've partnered with a division of De Beers called Element 6 that provides diamond-based electrochemical regeneration of our solution. Engineering companies from around the world are partnering. But I think the most important partnership would be that of the chemical companies that are already have a complete lock on this market.
Let's zoom out a little bit and look forward. What's next here for Resolve? What catalysts or events are down the pipeline, which you believe could lead to a notable re-rating of your company's valuation?
Yeah, this is really a pivotal year. We've spent $9 million on this technology so far over 4 years, and this is the year that we're commercializing. So I think from a revaluation of the stock, we're trading at a market cap of $30 million Canadian. And we're talking about a company here that could generate, in excess of $100 million in high margin royalty. We'd be happy to provide the documentation out to anybody that's interested in seeing it. But these types of disruptive companies grow not on conventional valuation metrics. They grow on relationships, the validation of the chemistry, the validation of the company, the validation of the market. And the fact that we have the opportunity here to allow these chemical companies to go from a $3 billion a year revenue base up to a potential $10 billion revenue base by opening up these stranded or prohibited markets, obviously would bode well for our corporate valuations.
Well said. Thank you very much. Once again, here to Dwayne Nelson, President and CEO of Resolve Technologies, Inc. That's RZL. Thank you so much for being here with us today and giving us your time.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great information from Dwayne, Mr. Dwayne Nelson. Great interview from Adara. Good information there. Thank you very much for being on. All right, guys, continuing to watch here. Look, man, there was a lot that happened since last we spoke, especially with USBC ripping up from 70 pennies into 82. We literally got top wick, but it was an epic failure because this one topping tail dropped all the way down. Probably stopped a lot of people out, and for that, you never really like that. Down, though, holding it around 71.5, 72. It's still above the 10 EMA on the 5. Let's see if this one's got the juice to let the dollar loose, because it's an 82 penny high. We're going to keep a close eye on this one, and if it's warranted, we will weasel back in. Continuing to watch here, BWEN. Assassino, I think the position board went to sleep. BWEN, looking for the continuation on BWEN to back into 315. It's been dilly-dallying here above 3, as you can see on the position on my screen there. I've been in and out a number of times. What I'm really looking for here is a decisive holding of 3 and a rocket ship back up. Back now to AEHL. Here it is, back into 28. What do we got on here, Joey? We got 20s, looking for a little bit more. We don't have a big position on AEHL because I felt like I didn't quite have the read. And there it is. Every time I throw it in order, of course, it drops. That's a little frustrating. Let's move up said order. Perhaps maybe we were not lofty enough with our expectations. We'll put it a little bit higher above 33. So those are the ones I'm involved in right now, AEHL and BWEN. But I definitely am interested in working back into USBC, especially if it holds above 70-ish pennies. I want to say 71 and a fifth to 70 because the 10 EMA on the 5 is 71 and a fifth. And of course, we have the 70 penny level, which is also of import. So keeping an eye on that. And the hot garbage known as ERNA is back above the volume weighted average price, but I'm 0 for 529 on this one, so I'm probably not going to want to work back in, Joe.
Yeah, we're gonna get into. I think we hold this $90 level, and Matt Mers. Yeah, good luck, man. I respect everything, and I like having those styles of conversations. Now, as for Netflix, guys, we're gonna pull this up right here, and we're gonna take a look at NFLX. And then we're going to talk a little bit about more what I was touching on yesterday, from a satisfaction standpoint and what else is going on. So 56, there's something that when I was leaving, there's a point that I wanted to bring up, but I think it's in my mind now, but we'll get into that momentarily. $90. This is my issue, right? So for this expiration cycle, there's a lot of open interest here, and we can classify this as a supply zone. And what I was referring to the other day, or this morning actually, was the fact that we had a high of around $87 or so on Netflix. So until we see that absorbed or rolled over, whatever's just keeping the price south of these levels so they can collect a premium on these contracts. It's the same narrative that I talk about with NVDA or whatever other name it is leading to earnings reports, past earnings reports, just from a day-to-day standpoint, is that when you have such a large amount of supply compared to everything else, it either needs to be absorbed or eliminated or dissolved. And what do I mean by dissolved? If you see all that options activity throughout the options chain, and then you see 150,000 contracts 1 week expiring on the Friday at a level that the underlying can't seem to break. Then the next week you see 1.25, can't break that level. And then the next week you see 75. You can see that it's slowly starting to dissolve and get smaller. And then once you see that level start to be cleared up, it gives you a little bit more of a free roll and free roaming ability within the underlying asset to surpass that specific strike price and those supply zones. So what I'm seeing right now in Netflix is, as for this week, I don't think we break and hold that $90 mark. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But if we go by our past data, it's actually a relatively high win rate on that. And now $90 is pretty close to where we're sitting at right now. And there's plenty of time within the week. We have the rest of today and 3 more full trading sessions. But unless we start to see that open interest slowly cool off, then I'm going to say that we close below that level. But once again, I could be totally wrong. And we got to think about the opposite side of the trade as well. What if you have a bunch of out-the-money individuals who are purchasing this contract, and if the larger participants I'm more or less referring to, they want that to close in the money, but it's not worth very much. We'll take a couple of steps back. Did it appreciate in price? Drastically, okay? We were looking at these contracts here. We're going to pull it up right now. I don't know why I got to talk about it. We could just actually look at them themselves, and we can see in the past little while, we were down to $16 and $17, and that's 370% on today's rally on a contract that's going to be expiring relatively soon. Now, it's not the easiest to catch those moves. You need to be positioned before that in order to obtain that level of return, but it's a big-time percentage gain in in this specific contract, but we also want to focus on what the open interest is saying. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case in Netflix, north of 90 by the end of the week, but if that cools over by the next week, then who knows? We can continue to climb, especially if we see a rotation out of some of these chip names. Maybe you see it fall into the Netflixes, the Walmarts, and you see that rotation back into some of the staples as well.
Yeah. All right, so here's what happened. I got the hell out of there on AEHL. I didn't like what I saw, and I'm very happy with my exit. We actually made a little bit of money on this one, very little, of course, but right when I got out, all hell broke loose to the downside. It flushed. It's at VWAP here, man. It did breach VWAP on a closing, on a, wick basis, but I don't know how AEHL is acting. Is it just $2 support? Is it really that simple? Because it keeps coming back down to 2 and generally holds up at 2. But this has been, I want to say, for almost an hour now. 10:57, we took out 2, and here we are, right back above 2. So I'm going to give this one to prior bar. Do I want to get in? I don't think so, to be honest with you. Yeah, you know, just because AEHL is making moves, it doesn't mean that I have a good read on it. So I'm going to let this one go for now. But for those who are interested, it does seem to defend 2 generally. When it does dip below, it's quickly bought up above 2. Now, I did get back into USBC because, yes, it was an ugly epic flush off the area high, 82 pennies on the dot. But, hey, man, it's still holding trend, so we're back in. We've already got a beak wetter through 78. I'm looking for continuation possibly into 80, and here it comes again. Here comes 78. What do we have on there? 77, so not that much. Let's see if this one can kind of try to make another move here on the 4/5 of a dollar and maybe even get to the dollar. You know, it's not going to usually be in a straight line, especially if you're south of a dollar. You're in that penny stock category, but hey, well, we're going to give this one the old college try, and here it comes again into 78 pennies. I'm still holding BWEN because it's still defending 3. And what I'm concerned about here on BWEN is a flat bottom break, right? Not typically the area we see flat bottoms, right? We usually see them at area lows, and they're usually precipitated by a plethora of lower highs. You're not really getting that here. You're getting pretty much a consolidation in and around $3. There's 305. It's not really catching a bid but it is at a level. Okay, here comes 306. I don't know how to feel about BWE, and I think I have the right idea, but you know what I got the right idea on, Joey?
What's that, my boy?
There goes USBC again into 80 pennies. Looking for the continuation. We're waiting north of 80 on this one. And we've taken out baby shares. We didn't get in nearly the size on the second attempt as we did on the third. Full disclosure. And there it goes again into 80 and 36. 82 penny high. Looking for the continuation a little bit above that. I want to see if it goes into that dollar area. Get it? Cheers, love. There it goes, my man. I appreciate that. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. All our prints got filled there. We're still negative on the day. Full disclosure. We're going to try to make it out of this problem. But hey, that's the way it is, Joey. If you don't try. And there it goes again, ripping through highs. Is this going to halt? No. Into a new area high, Joey, 86 pennies. USBC is ripping. And here comes possibly 88s. Let's weigh it at the 88s. Shout out to my man Michael Irvin. Let's go. 85. We're seeing 86s. Neil, the second I said Michael Irvin, I look back at Neil and you gave me the death stare. He doesn't like Michael Irvin.
Like
we know why,
man.
right? It's all good. It's all good. I don't hate the Bills
He likes
either,
to party
bro.
a little bit, too.
Eh? Yeah, leave him alone, bro.
What?
It was like one time,
Right.
okay? Yeah, I remember he got caught with some stuff.
One time.
Yeah, well, whatever, bro. Leave him alone, man.
One time.
Judge him, bro.
When you get caught, man, it ain't
Judging
one time.
everybody.
I'm not judging it. Well, yeah, I'll judge him. I'll say that I'm judging. Okay, guys, I got a lot of stuff on my mind that just keeps slipping in, so I got to write it down because there's some good points that I wanted to bring up here, and I totally forgot. So, yeah, that sucks.
Caught one time.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is, man. You got caught one time. A lot of things on the kids'
Just don't
mind
get
right
caught,
now.
Joey.
Just don't get caught. It's that simple. So yeah, we're gonna make sure we write them down so we don't forget because I think there's some interesting points that need to be brought up. There's DRAM continuously selling here. Nice little indecision print off the lows, but there we catch this falling knife on today's intraday session. SPY performing a little bit better than the NASDAQ. NASDAQ put in a new low of the day. We haven't quite got there just yet. In the SPY NASDAQ new low of the day. We're going to send things off to Adara and then Neil with his lesson of the day.
Let's take a look here at oil to start. You know, we usually look at USO first, or sorry, SPY or the Qs first. So why not oil here near the top of its range, still kind of near where it was trading pre-market, nothing massive. And now in contrast here, you've got a lot of weakness in the SPY right now, trying to hold that lows around 732. And here is the NASDAQ. Now, as Joe just alluded to, NASDAQ a little bit weaker than the SPY. I think you can see that here as well on these 15-minute charts. Now, we did have CPI coming out here. 4 prints, 3 of those were a little bit hotter than expected by just 0.1%. Again, only print that came in line with estimates was non-core month-over-month CPI. Let's take a look here at this Tesla chart. And I wanted to pull up Tesla because I think all these tech charts that I've seen in major tech look pretty similar. This resembles the SanDisk chart or even resembles the likes of Lumentum. It looks like NVIDIA. You've got that pop here near the open and then just selling since. Now, TSLA did have this piece of news. This was reported by Reuters coming out a couple minutes before the bell here. They're going to be investing an additional $250 million for annual production of 8 GWH battery cells here in Grünheide, Germany. We also had Reuters reporting that I guess some of their reporters had gone on test drives of these robo-taxis, didn't have the best experiences, so nothing massive here with TSLA, but I did want to pull up this chart because I do think it resembles a lot of these other big tech charts. So for some context, here's NVIDIA. I'll pull up, as I mentioned here earlier, Lumentum looking very similar, SNDK looking very similar. So a lot of it, again, that pop off the open and then just cascading lower. We'll have to see if Oklo cascades lower because they report earnings after the bell today. Now, here are 2 people who used to be involved with the company, both of whom I think are really interesting. You've got on your left Chris Wright, current U.S. Energy Secretary and former board member of Oklo. He actually left the board to become Sec of Energy. Then you've got Sam Altman here, OpenAI CEO and former chairman of Oklo's board. Either way here, we are expecting Oklo to lose money tonight. I did not see a revenue estimate. I'm assuming that's because we are not expecting them to be having any revenue, but we'll have to wait and find out. But you know what you don't have to wait to find out? What Neil's lesson of the day is going to be. Because right now, Neil will be giving us, and I'm sure, educational, exciting, and awesome lesson. And Neil, whenever you're ready, we're going to get that lesson of the day. Thank you very much to Neil Roberts and his lesson. Let's get it now.
Thank you, Darren. Darren was stretching it because I got distracted by Sharif. So Darren is such a professional because like I'm ready to come on and I'm just like doing this because Sharif is distracting me the entire time. See, I'm just complimenting Darren. Sharif, first of all, yes, you were doing something, and you know you were. You were distracting me with whatever it is that you were doing on your screen. All right, it was funny, but it was still distracting. You guys will see in a minute. When we get back to we'll talk to the guys. But you know what? There's a scene in Moneyball. And if you've never seen the movie, it's a good one. It's a good book, all that kind of stuff. But it's effectively where there's a conversation, which is what does everybody get wrong? Like what does everybody? It's like, what does everybody in baseball get wrong? And basically, Jonah Hill's character explains to Brad Pitt's character Billy Beane that everybody thinks that they're trying to buy players, right? Like if you play fantasy sports, you're like, I'm going to buy the best player, or I'm going to draft the best player, and I'm going to win. I'm going to buy the best player, the biggest thing, and I'm going to win. When in fact, what you're doing is playing a game in which you just simply try to score more runs than the other team. In baseball, you were trying to score more runs, right? Maximize runs when you're up to bat and minimize outs. And when you're in the field, you're doing the absolute opposite. In trading, your job is not to make a call. Your job is not to, the stock is going to go up, the stock is going down. Your job is to execute a trade. It's to execute a trade. If you're going long, it is quite simply to buy shares and then exit out of that position so that your P&L is up. That's what your job is. Direction doesn't matter. So I'm going to give you a series. I'm going to run down this. So we said, I was talking about just make a, like just go from one trade, one good trade to the next trade. It's a famous book if you've never read it. But it's about understanding. I can say, I think BM&R is a short. I can say, and I'll go right down the line of all of the ones that I was like, this is a short, that's a short. I was just in GitLab, I'll actually even get to that one, Rigetti, SMCI. But it's not about whether it was a one good trade or not. Because here's the example. Did I say that HIMS was a short off the 25.5 level? Did I do everything right at the 25.5? So 25.5 comes out the open. It blasts, doesn't look weak, puts in a topping tail at 26, puts in a lower, it finally looks weak at the 25.5 level with lower highs. So I take a short, give it to a trend break, and get out. Did it eventually go to the low? Did it eventually go down? Absolutely. So, right, wrong, the call's irrelevant. If I had just simply held the trade until it worked, the call would have been right. But you have to make an execution. And the important thing about when you're finding an execution, I find, and this is really the point when I say one good trade. When HIMS didn't work, come back to the chart. When HIMS didn't work, am I hunting for that? No, because that's not what I was looking for. I simply went down, I'm gonna go down the line. I simply went to, right now in this moment, what's an execution that makes sense? Okay, that didn't work, I'm bearish on this. It's trying to put in a lower high. It's breaking a trend. That's a setup I like. Make that trade. That comes out, what else do I like? What else can I find? I could get into, I showed you guys BM&R, I've probably shown SMCI at the open, fine, that one worked out. But I'll show you one that's in the middle, GitLab. So this was another setup. This looks pretty similar to all of the other trades make. Well, I'm looking at something near the end of the show, trend break on GitLab. The last thing I said to you, I'm taking the trend break on GitLab. Goes down to first support, can't break second. Well, I just jumped out of it. Now, is the trade still working? Was the call short here before it breaks a high? That call correct? Okay, fine. Yes, the call was correct. Is it continuing the way that the trade I want trade should? In my opinion, no, so I jump out. It finds support, holds support, and then the downtrend breaks. It goes all the way along here, then breaks the downtrend. I'm a trend in, trend out guy. When you're doing this type of a trade, one of the things you'll hear me say, it's against the grain. Should be working right away. If it just starts forming a bull flag for too long, eventually there's something that's going to get me out. So there's nothing about this that the call was right, but that doesn't mean I'm still holding it, because the execution tells me, hey, let's get out of this for the win, because I'm just trying to bag a winning trade, and my rule says to get out. This might fall all the way into VWAP, and it's like, well, you're an idiot. You got out up here. Why didn't you just hold to VWAP? It never went against you. So what? It never went against you is not something that necessarily means the trade is going to do everything that you want, because it could go against you later. You have to have a set of execution rules on your trade. So right or wrong, plenty of times I will get out of a trade and it will continue to go further. That was the case with Rigetti. That was another one where we follow the rules. Sometimes I will follow the rules and it will look like this. VWAP retracement trade. Play it to the low of the day. Look for the next opportunity. That was today for me. I had one losing stock today and a bunch of winning ones. But for my particular style, and everyone will have their own style, and if you have a style of trader, you have setups, there will be trade-offs. And I'll get to that in a second. For my particular style, where you go one to the other, very defined risk to reward. If you're taking a VWAP, it's play it to the low. If it's a very specific higher time frame setup, like maybe I might have liked it on a higher time frame, and if I was playing it off of this as a head and shoulders, okay, fine, I might have been holding that trade, but I wasn't. That was not the plan of action for Rigetti. The trade-off with this particular style is better consistency, because I'm usually have a very defined target range that's good for the risk to reward, so I'll be up more days than most people. But if I'm doing this particular style trade, it is heavy scalp and then find the next one. It's not the hold style trade. So you have to find out what the execution style is that works for you, and then just try to maximize that. Just try to be green doing what it is that you do. There's lots of ways that you can accomplish it, but remember, your job as a trader, I mean, I'm making the assumption that people want to make money, which is a weird thing to say. It's a very weird thing to say, but I found it to be true over the years for a lot of traders. Your job is to make money, which seems intuitive, but I've seen too many traders behave like that's not even their primary goal. And when I say that, the reason I say that is because there's a fixation with being right or wrong, right? In this Rigetti trade, this does not look right because the move was 2.5 times what I took. So do I look particularly good showing this to you? No. But I followed my rules and I was green, so I shouldn't care, right? And that's sort of the thing. Your job is not to be quote unquote right. Your job is not to have the prettiest looking chart. Your job as a trader is to make money. Don't let anybody ever tell you that it's anything but that. That is your only goal when you are trading. Now, there's lots of ways that is accomplished, managing risk, preserving capital sometimes. I get that, like sometimes managing risk means you're not making a trade, you're getting out. There's all nuance to that. But the end goal is to be profitable. And that's something that's true whether you're day trading, whether you're swing trading, in every sense of what you're trying to accomplish here. You're just trying not to lose. And in a game where well over 90% of traders fail, believe me when I tell you, and I'm always just trying to impart this, I don't get overly emotional in trades. I get overly emotional when talking about trading. Why? Because I've seen so many traders fail because of the things that I find to be simple and that were within their control because they were smart, because they found winning opportunities, because they found great entries, because they found great setups, because they found big winners. Like all of these things, I'm like, you have potential, but then where's the issue? They got stubborn and could not get away from a trade. Average down into oblivion because you could not be incorrect. Revenge trade because you believe the stock owes you something. Move a stop because you're like, oh, well, I'll just give it a little bit more room. Have poor risk management, risk $1 to make 50 cents. Those are all things that you hear a million times, and it's like over and over again. You see traders do this. And so it always comes down to the structure of the trade. And if you can explain that to yourself, to anybody else, and have it be very simple, right? I want my losing trades to look boring. I want to think topping tail here, this is my resistance level. I wait till it looks bearish with that topping tail. I enter there. It doesn't work, I'm out. That's it. It's not exciting. It's in, it's out. Could it have scalped at some point for 20 or 30 cents? Yes. But if I'm risking 40 cents, why am I scalping out for 20? So I don't do it. Just using that as an example. This was more like 30, but that's the point. There should be a rhyme and reason to your trade that makes sense so that if you do it over and over again, you will be profitable. That is your only goal as a trader. And that's what I hope we're trying to instill, is a reason why this show is on every single day talking about the markets for free and people want to come back to it. Because it's not about saying, do this and you're going to make $1 million. Anybody can say that. And anybody can try to present something which will make it seem like it's true to you. But the truth of the matter is, anybody that has some kind of a, you do what I tell you and you will make $1 million, you know why you know they're lying to you? Because they just do more of it themselves. Usually it's along the lines of, you come in every single day as a trader, you try to figure out some things that are working within your setups that have been profitable for you, and you do your best to try to find them in real time. It's not as simple as do this. It's not as simple as writing something down and you follow what somebody else says, or you buy a program and it works. Any program somebody's selling should be about learning. It shouldn't be about do this. Right? So make sure you have that kind of a mentality in your trading. You'll be fine. I've blabbed on enough. Street Fest something funny to show you. I didn't even open the lunch. It's jerk chicken. I got 3 drumsticks that look delicious. There is broccoli, but it looks like it's going to be fantastic. So I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to send you guys back to the boys in the midday. Good luck in the rest of your trading. Just make one good trade and then move on to the next and make another good trade. Just try to be profitable. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about being right. Just worry about being green.
I have a whole bunch of companies that I can show you guys here, stocks I can show you guys here in this story that came out while Neil's lesson was happening. I actually put up the headline on the screen because it's quite an interesting one. But basically, we're seeing reports here that Google is in talks with SpaceX and some other companies in the space sector to potentially set up an orbital data center plan. So they've got launch prototypes here with a timeline for early 2027. Again, guys, Rocket Lab on watch. I was seeing FLY, another one potentially on watch here. Of course, if the deal's with SpaceX, you've got DXYZ. Again, all these companies on watch. Google reportedly talking to SpaceX and other rocket launching companies with plans to have an orbital data center. Again, launch prototypes expected by early 2027. If this is true, I'll keep you guys posted. Right now, just reported by Wall Street Journal. But Google, orbital data center on watch. Back to you.
All right. I was just telling Neil, you know, as a species, like a species, you know, we're very technologically savvy. We're talking AI, we're talking robotics. But we're also talking autonomous driving, right?
Yeah.
We're advancing.
Yeah, we're advancing.
But there's some things in human nature that just stay the same. They don't advance. They just stay where they are. People already know what I'm talking about. Look at this. Oh, man. This is beautiful. That's the kind of Waymo that I want to take. I mean, like, and the person who's just next to the Waymo recording this is the ultimate. He gives him a quick look there, too. You see that quick look he gave him? Oh, my goodness. It's so funny. I love this stuff.
Roger Noonan, that's funny. No, but I mean, in all reality, if you haven't done that once or twice in your life, have you even lived?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's done that a couple of times.
Tilapia gone wrong.
Yeah, I've had it done. Dude, after my old BMW, I had it for like about a week and a half.
Somebody you put in a friend in there?
Oh,
that's a fight. That's
right
an immediate fight.
Boom. It just everywhere. I had to go and get it detailed. I done it on the highway coming back from cottage country.
The worst is when the person in the back has the window open and it flies back in.
Yeah, man.
No, man, I've seen too much, man.
Yeah, if you haven't done that once or twice in your life, then by all means. All right, guys.
Get it, Joey.
Yeah, let's get right into this. I remembered what I was thinking about earlier. Yeah, someone said hantavirus. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. Just what we've been seeing in some of the chip names and everything along those lines, like the tech names in general, just going on these monstrous runs. And it's like, okay, at times you feel a little left out. You're like, okay, we missed these substantial moves. But what I've been thinking and what I've noticed over my time, whether you agree or disagree with me, that's totally fine. But I'm willing to have a conversation. This is a conversation that I want to have. We were talking about Netflix not too long ago and how it hasn't been performing. But how do we really participate in some of these rallies? You feel that they're overextended. You don't feel there's a good time to get in. And I'm going to use AMD as this example here. It's just, okay, I think for me personally, there's two good entries. Outside of these entries, it's a chase, all right? But what is something that is in common with this is that in order to participate in a rally like this, right, 138% in AMD off of the end of March to April lows, the beginning of April lows, we'll call it 138%. You have to sit through a little bit of pain, and you have to buy some quality names that have been beaten up and haven't been performing well in order to really participate in that exponential rally, right? Like when we see it go 100+% in a market cap name like AMD and the microns, because for me personally, and I don't know how certain individuals feel, this is an entry on MU. Everything north of this, a little bit of a chase in my opinion. Could I be wrong? Could some of you disagree? Absolutely. This is why we're having this conversation. But in order to participate in this whole rally, you had to buy Micron when it was down 36% off of this high, right? And what is the example that I'm going to be using? There's a couple. I'm going to be talking about Netflix. Netflix still down. I'm going to be talking about Meta because if these are high quality companies that happen to sit on a lot of cash, I know that Meta's spending a lot of that cash, but the digital ad revenue is substantial. And the same thing with Netflix in a segment within the company that is going to continuously grow. And it's kind of like we just went through that revolving door of removing ourselves from linear TV to falling right back into the space. They're increasing their premiums. They've done it before. You've seen that uptick within the revenue on that previous earnings report. So what I'm thinking here is we have to sit through a little bit of pain with some of these high quality names in order for us to get that gain and have that exponential move to the point where I think that Netflix can be a name where we're talking about it at $150 plus. And if we're looking at from where we're currently sitting at right now, that's a pretty good return. That's 70%. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to happen in the span of a couple of months? I don't know. But at some point, when you're a quality company like the Metas and the Netflixes who hold a dominant market share within the space, whether it be via social media or the streaming business, I have no issues with positioning myself within the names when they're beaten down. And we talk about, oh, buy when there's blood in the streets. Well, why? Because look what we've seen here on Micron. I just mentioned it was down 36% before it went on that substantial run. I was talking about AMD that was down 20% before it went on that substantial run. And there's other names as well, too. Once again, I go back to the quality of things who get beaten up as well, but then eventually rebound. And if you're just thinking about buying the rally or buying when things are continuously making new highs, that's fine. But if we want to get the bulk of the move, the meat of the move, in my opinion, you have to sit through a little bit of pain in order to participate in that gain. You know what they typically say in the gym, Sharif?
What do they say?
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, no
and I think
it.
It goes for some of the names in the stock market as well.
Good Life has started strictly enforcing no recording inside the change rooms. They had usually put just signs. Pardon me?
Inside the change room?
Yeah, because people take selfies in the mirror and stuff like that. And there's people naked in the background. So you literally have someone half naked you don't mean to, but the person probably doesn't appreciate that either, right? So they've started like putting all those advertisements or posting signs in there and stuff like that. But yeah, the reason I say that is because they have, at the Good Life that I go to, all these signs, you built this and stuff like that, like talking about yourself, no pain, no gain, as you were just saying. So it just had me thinking about the signs that they were putting around. Guys, USBC is ripping. Here we go. Shout out to my man, Adam James Abroad. He's involved in this one. I love to see that. Here comes 84 pennies. It's an 86.20 high. We've had a lot of trouble with 85 generally. Here's 84.25. And the reason I say it's 85, that's been a resistance level, is because none of the closing prints on the 5-minute chart are kind of really moving above that level. So I want to say 85 generally, a hard road to hoe. Let's see if we can get above it. If we're above we get above the high of the day of 86.20. I have a bias that we're on the way to $1. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in a small position here just so that we can ride it. Very small. It's not going to really affect my P&L on this specific stock, but we've taken out highs multiple times on this one. Initially at 80, I want to say 85, then we couldn't do as well last time around at about 84 1/3. Here we are again in at 84, dropping back down now into 82 3/4. I'll build the position if it shows me the right thing. So I've got it up on the what's it called? The 5-second chart up top. Let me just flip to this one. There we go. And I'm going to try to gauge what the current pattern is. Here we are right back into 84. We're putting in higher lows, guys, but there's certainly a seller at the 84 level. Now, we know there's one at 85, and there goes 85 into 86. We still haven't made new highs because 86.20 high, right? So we just popped off into 86, rejected that level, and here we come again to the low side. Haven't taken anything out because I really don't have a big position. I want to see what this one does. Does it drop back down and dilly-dally at around 80, hold 80, and then make the move into $1? I don't mind building a position into this one. Let's give it some room here, Joey. But this one looks to be the best of the bunch, quite frankly. AEHL is losing the trend. ERNA is also below VWAP. BuzzFeed tried to make a big move into that 180 level, but it failed. It was a pretty aggressive retracement, or reclaim, pardon me, of VWAP. And then BWEN, you know, it's my second biggest loser on the day after ERNA, so I clearly don't have a read on that one. I'm just going to stick to what I have a read on, and there it goes into a new high of day. It is 87 pennies now on USBC. We're on the way, guys. We're on the way. My bias is $1. That's obviously not guaranteed by any means, but you know, just sometimes when you get up into these levels, you glance at the dollar. And what I mean by dollar is basically, you know, that one-ish area. So that could mean a little 97s, 96s, 98s, basically somewhere in around there. It's ripping, Joey. There's another high of day. 88 1/5, monster seller at 88 1/5, pushing us down back into 87. Pack in the patience. Shout out to my man Darwin. Charlie Taft, we all know, take selfies in the gym mirror. He's not about this. He's not about this. Hey, man, I do them legally, right? Not inside the change room where my membership can get suspended. Trig Trades, can you share a link to that Waymo video? Absolutely. Give me a minute to find it again because it's just off my screen at the moment, but I promise I'll get that to you, Trig Trades, and we'll send that. Rajesh Kuthrapali? My bad. Please look at SOXX chart. Well, in a second, TDIC is moving as well. I do see that. Grenfeld, I've got TDIC on the side chart. I just want this trade to resolve at the moment. I want to see if I'm going to add into this position on USBC or whether or not, you know, we're going to reject here, drop back down, maybe make a higher low at around 80 because the last area low was at around 74.66. So I'd be looking for an 80 penny hold if we can get that. The auspicious turtle, I'm with you on USBC. Let's get that dollar. I agree, brother. You know, you don't mosey on up into 87 typically unless you want to glance at that whole dollar level, but it's not a hard and fast rule and anything can happen. So we need to kind of keep that in mind when we trade these. Well, we're going up to the big desk with Adair.
Yeah, a head full of headlines here. Nothing too massive, but I did want to mention them that come through over the last couple of minutes. Meta, working with a company here called Desri, they've announced 850 megawatts here, MWs, of new PPAs across Oklahoma, Texas, and Mississippi. So this is going to be in total, roughly 2.575 gigawatt collaboration here for solar and battery storage across 9 states. That's META. Also here, more USO news. This is nothing super surprising, but I'll mention this headline anyway. Al Jazeera reporting that an informed source familiar with the negotiations between Iran and the U.S. said that Iranian negotiating team has included a 5-point terms, kind of the same points we thought. They want, I guess, repayments, and they also want the Strait of Hormuz to, I guess, be theirs, for lack of a better term. They want to be given control of the strait. Now, last but not least here, just keep an eye on the market. Worth noting, Senate reportedly on track now to confirm Kevin Warsh as the chair of the Federal Reserve. Back to you.
There is that they want sovereignty of the Hormuz Strait. Who's going to agree to that? Seeing as they're holding up every other country who's not even involved in the war, can't get their hands on oil. I mean, like, who's going to accept that, right? I mean, yeah, we're going to give you sovereignty, in writing when, you know, basically under the gun, you're still not willing to give it up. I mean, so, yeah, I don't think that that's going to be an agreeable to anybody. Quite frankly, it's looking a little bit less and less likely we may have this resolved. As President Trump said yesterday, something that I've been talking about for a long time, it's very factionalized within. He's basically saying that there's hardliners who he calls lunatics, and then there is moderates who want to make a deal. And right now, who's in control? The people with the people with the weapons.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the moderates and the bureaucrats and the technocrats that are sitting in Tehran. You know what I mean? Like,
I think at some point it will get resolved. I just don't think it's going to happen as quick as people are anticipating it to. Could be a significantly longer,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
well, prices are going to keep going up.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So I don't know. What do you want to? I mean, a couple of things that you could do is just start dropping the bombs to the point where they're like, all right, you have no option other than to come to a deal. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Let's get back into stocks. This is a name that I wanted to talk about. I was going on about just having to sit through a little bit of pain to get some gain. Like, we're talking about CrowdStrike, SaaSmageddon, and PanW. These names down 40% at the end of February, right? Like, this was painful. You thought, hey, man, I don't know, but these are high-quality cybersecurity names to the extent where CrowdStrike is now only 3.5% to 4% off of its previous all-time high. So, I mean, you have to sit through some of these unfortunate events and some pain in order to participate and get this gain. And that's just kind of my narrative here with a couple of companies. The same thing with Meta, right? Like, we're talking about, I brought up the time where Sharif and I were looking at Google and it was sitting around 23 times forward earnings or something along those lines on Google. And then we're like, oh man, this name is just absolutely getting destroyed. And this was back here where it was down 30%. Well, look what it's done from that point, right? So eventually things got bought up. Meta sitting on a lower PE as well. But it gets beaten up, but eventually at some point it will rebound, hopefully, right? It doesn't have to, but I think if we go by the nature of things, then by all means, that's kind of the narrative that I'm sitting on. I don't know if that's going to be the same case here with BMNR and Ethereum and MSTR, but I have a little bit of a hunch that it will. Now, as for positions, guys, here goes the market heading back towards the low of the day. 698, almost breaking there on the NASDAQ as these chip names are weak, help leading the way to the downside. And the same thing with the SPY, slowly starting to pick up its momentum lower and lower. The quantum names that were hot for a couple of days are no longer hot. Circle selling from a high of approximately $140, now down to $123.88. So this is what I was talking about. How deep are these pullbacks going to be? And I think it's a fade the pop type session. Now, moving forward, I want to talk about Tesla because a couple people in the chat were talking about a long. I'm like, I don't know if we get a long here. We had consecutive sessions to the top side, 1, 2, 3, 4 green days in a row, and then eventually we just sell off. And this trend is just fully intact. So fade that pop here. It seems to be the narrative. So waiting for a good quality entry in the overall market are some of these chip names in order for us to get involved with a short.
All right, man, I'm just watching intently there, USBC, but Kevin Warsh has now been confirmed by the Senate. Good luck. We'll see how that new Fed dynamic is in the coming weeks and months. All right, continuing to watch here, USBC, seller at 85. I don't want to add here until I see a little bit more. So we did get a doji candle with basically no body as the prior bar on the 5-minute chart with an 88.26 high. Here we are at 83. I'm really watching for that 10 EMA general area. And currently the 10 EMA show me 80 pennies on the dot, right? And that, I mean, in my opinion, that's good support. You get the 10 penny level, kind of consider that maybe the whole dollar level in and around, or maybe like the 50 penny level if you're trading something above the dollar. I want to see if it holds up at around 80. So I'm not going to get in anything here. I want to definitely see if we can kind of bottom pick a little bit and then make another move close to the dollar. But this one's been stair-stepping up, as you can see. It's been putting in higher highs and higher lows, basically since we got involved with this one at around 70 pennies. But nothing for me to do currently. Continuing to watch the 5-second chart on my top screen to try to see, you know, when the trend is changing, when we stop putting in lower highs. But it really does feel like, at least for the last few minutes, that 85 pennies is the sell point. So I'm not saying I'm going to put a breakout trade above 85 pennies, but I'm more interested in getting long at above 85 pennies than I am here. In the same way, by the same vein, I'm looking at 80 pennies as well as an area of support. So whichever one comes first, ideally, of course, you pick up that 80, you bottom feed, and then it rips up to the dollar and you're 20 in the money, pennies that is, on an 80 penny name, which is not that bad. That's a 20% move. People can go an entire year without making 20% on their money, baby. So watching that one, Joey. TDIC as well, looking pretty good over here for those who are interested in playing this range. TDIC, not a big mover on the day. Sorry, correction. It's up 88% and change, 88.5%, but has had a lot of trouble really being above $2. The only closing print on the day above 2 was a bamboozling candle. That 1140 bar did close out basically at the high, but you saw what the subsequent bar did, just drop right back down. So it's had a lot of trouble closing above $2, and that has been pre-market and afterwards as well. So no difference there. So TDIC certainly of interest for me, but I'm trying to focus more on USBC at the moment. AEHL is trying to reclaim the volume-weighted average price here, but even if it does, it's still suffering from a lot of lower highs, so we'll have to see how AEHL sets up. And BWEN, this is looking awfully flat bottom breakish, and BWEN is a free borrow on my personal brokerage account. So there's about 1.5 million shares available for short. That pretty much will mean that we have it available as well. So we're going to keep a tab on that. But there goes USBC, Joey, right back above that area. We're trying to get in over here, but it's not letting me in. Why? Am I hitting the wrong keys? Oh, yeah, it won't let me in. It gave me error messages. I don't know. Gateway rejected. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I was hitting the wrong keys. Let's keep, that's for the Amex. I didn't set it up on Amex, that's why. So that hotkey I have to set up on Amex. Anyway, continuing to watch here. So it did breach prior bar high on the 5-minute chart. Holy. I'm talking about the current 5-minute candle, the 1235 bar did breach prior bar high, and here we go again. We're trying to make another move here for 88.26. We're going to add into this position. Let's see if we can touch that high at day, Joe. Maybe 90 and maybe even $1. But we're going to look to 80 as well. Don't forget about that 80 level, which is a little bit below the 10 EMA now. The 10 EMA has ascended a little bit on the 5-minute to about 81 and change, Jelly.
Look at this trend on Qualcomm. Holy smokes. That is just sell.
Smoking a pancake.
Yeah, exactly. That's just pure smoking a pancake signal right there. Inverted hammer candle off of these highs, and then you just have this aggressive down day. Yeah, this is a big-time move in Qualcomm. But again, it's the same thing that I was talking about. In order for you to get this double up here, in the name, you had to sit through some pain, and you had to be willing to buy it when no one else really wanted to, right? So there it is, a big-time move in Qualcomm. Let's go over a couple more. I see the market is still bleeding. I have SPY. There's QUBT finally starting to find a rebound. I just don't like where we're sitting on multiple names, so we might have to go over to small cap Landia and see what we got going on from that standpoint. QUBT starting to find somewhat of a base. We're getting that curl over action, try to catch the lower end of the range. ERNA, I've seen a couple people in the chat mention that, forming this bull flag. I don't like this base. I think this is going to be a short at some point, especially if it has the ability to breach the volume-weighted average price. QBTZ, this is a leverage play. I don't know why we need that for some of these quantum names who have been so badly beaten up over the past little while. Now let's head back to our scanner, our large cap scanner, to see if there's anything interesting. We do have the ETHA. Move on from that. Joby Aviation to the downside.
Piece of crap.
Oh, yeah.
Where's it at, Joey?
Joby Aviation is at
10?
No, it's at $10.20.
Okay, that's okay.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a choice.
50% at what? I mean, you could get out if you wanted to.
Bro, if you look where it came from, and tell me if I should get out now. No, I mean it's been below.
I'm
holding for the long term.
Exactly. It just goes back to my point of what I've been preaching for the past little while, is that, hey man, we got to sit through a little bit of pain in some of these names that we believe in order to get that gain. So I wish it always wasn't like that, but unfortunately that's just how this blue dot works. Now, Oracle, how have you been performing here off of those lows? We're on the weekly, so a nice little bounce off that 132 marker up to $182. Yeah, wow, Quantum's still selling here, Sharif, as it's about to put in a new low of the day. I'm thinking about maybe taking a little minuscule short here on Circle for that test of the low of the day, because it looks like we're heading into that neck of the woods, and if it breaches, then by all means, we've been on a big time run with this for quite some time. Off of that $95 mark, you get a nice 30-40% return in the span of a couple of sessions. So a pullback here is totally justifiable, and I'm okay with that. Now, I mean, give me a couple of names. Light going to $948, a little bit out of my, my price.
Light is ridiculous, dude. Did you know where this one was yesterday?
No.
It went to 1,085. We're over $100 off the high.
Yeah,
that's tough.
But that's what I was talking about with SanDisk. Like SanDisk and Micron during the Blue Ocean session, I was just watching this stuff do insane things. I'm like, what is even happening here? We'll head back to our watch list and see what we got going on. SanDisk down to $1,300. So I mean, you're down over $100 today alone in SanDisk. You're down $300 off of the high, a little bit less than that, 2.25. So yeah, I mean, these big time moves, you're starting to see these pullbacks to the extent of being down 13% in SNDK. And I don't think on today's session there's going to be any buyers stepping in. It's just giving that vibe, right? Just every pop gets faded, and it's more or less profit taking, and people being, hey, we're a little bit overextended. Let's get out of these names for now, or reduce a little bit of our exposure because they've just gotten too big in our portfolio and within our holdings.
Well said, brother. Well said. All right, continuing to hold USBC here. We're putting in higher lows, but as Adam James Abroad in the chat astutely pointed out, there are a lot of sellers in the high to mid 80s, and that's easy to see vis-a-vis these topping tail candles on the 5, but there's also a buyer in and around 83 to 84. I still have a bias that we mosey on up at least to 90. I'm going to keep a close eye on how we trade at 80. Now, 80 pennies now is well below, relatively speaking, of course, the 10 EMA on the 5, because the 10 EMA on the 5 is now showing 81, I want to say in a quarter, 81, 81.10. So I'll be on the lookout for that. But 80 should be an interesting level here. It was a resistance level initially, multiple rejections off 80 in the same way that we're kind of getting in the multiple rejections in the high 80s right off 90. So let's see if it holds up. Here comes 82. I'm looking for a general hold at around 80. We're right back into that area low, 82, 83, 82 and a half right now. So packing the patience. Let's see what we get on this one. TDIC is also moving up, guys. TDIC as well as AEHL kind of feels like it could be putting in a lower high here. So be careful with your entry longs on AEHL at the moment, because it's breaking the downtrend. But we've seen this story before where it breaks that downtrend only to lure you in as a long and then put in that lower high and then fail the low, which currently is about $1.90. So be on the lookout for that. That's AEHL. I know it's not on the screen, but I'm keeping my eye on this one. Bovin is saying HTCO is moving up. Let's take a quick look at that. Not a bad look there, Bovin. A lot of rejections in and around this high 11 area, so we'll keep an eye out on HTCO. This is the trade on HTCO. There's the 5-minute. Multiple rejections at 11, but there we are retesting that 5:50, 6 a.m. high at around $11. So HTCO, by the way, is up 55.5%, give or take. So another one to keep your eye out on there. I'm going to take out BWEN, put here HTCO, but I'm interested in actually shorting BWEN if it gives me an opportunity. So that's what I'm looking at now. All right, recovering here back into 85. So we did defend the 10 EMA on the 5 at around 81 4/5 on USBC. We didn't quite make it down into 80. My bias was this makes it down into 80, but that buyer in and around 82 or 83 stepping in for now. So a bit of a consolidative zone here. And we've been in this consolidative zone, I want to say since about 5 to 12. So yeah, it's almost 12:45 right now. So about 45 minutes worth of sideways price action here on USBC, Joe.
All right, good stuff, man. NASDAQ, new low of the day there, got down to 697. Ooh. Adam James is loving this, man. He's just like, let the bodies, I mean, I think that's more or less a song reference there. I'll bravely let the bodies hit the floor.
Oh, yeah.
right? I don't know who sings it, but let the boys have the flow. Yeah, I mean, but in the grand scheme of things, let's not beat around the bush here. We're down 2%. Whoa, 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 oh my God, yeah. What do we do now? Like, oh, the market's not going up. Okay, like, I mean, this is just we're so fortunate. 30%. That's 3 years. What do we average a year in the Nasdaq and the SPY? 10% if you're lucky. Aside from what we're seeing from this bull market that we've been in, 10% is that baseline. You got that in the span of a month, all right? And you know what they say, bulls and bears can eat, but hogs and pigs get slaughtered. So, I mean, as much, man, as nice as this is, eventually, as my grandpa used to say to me, Joe, the party has to end sometime. All right? Just
so true.
Because you know me, I was just like, yeah.
You just want to keep going, eh?
Keep going. He said, Joe, the party has to end sometime. May God bless his soul. All right, now as for IonQ and these quantum names been going through that, where a little bit of a stutter. Someone who is just, like I talk about buying good names, I don't know if this is one of them. Mark Benioff and company not doing good whatsoever. I don't know if it will ever recover, considering we've been having this little bit of a rally in the market over the past couple of years, and there's just been no participation from that. So it's unfortunate for Salesforce that it's just not good. Now, as for SMR, down to $11.59. We had a little pop up to $14, but it's like, no, we're going to remain weak for now. I liked SMR for quite some time, but just hasn't been him as of late. Applied Digital is one of the sleeper names, especially off of this low. Again, 100%, 123% return off of that low in the span of a month, participating with the overall market. INTC about to lose 115. Here's another name. I mean, here, I'll talk about... I'll talk about that here momentarily. So it's just been as of late, to be honest with you. I'm completely frank with you guys. 12% off of that high. We know that INTC has been. So this has been it. So like I've been flipping my script here as of late. All right. Okay. So it's just like, hey Joe, why aren't I in a trade? Because there's a couple of things. I understand we got to talk about trading, which we're doing. But Neil talked about your chart not looking the prettiest. Your objective is to make money. And then I went on this whole spiel yesterday of not being content with certain things. Right. Now, I have to practice what I preach at times, and this was it. I'm fortunate. Do we always take these trades? No. But I was telling everybody in the chat from the morning, I literally had 10 times the amount of shares on this one position than what I had on these two positions. 5 times combined, okay? So what we had here is a nice little move. Is this the prettiest looking trade? Absolutely not, but I hit my objective. So now I talk about not being satisfied. I wanted to take a couple more attempts just in case the quantum space went outside of the market rally to the downside and wanted to move, diverge from what we had from selling. That wasn't the case, but then I also have to be realistic with myself, and it's like, okay, we're up nice, but then I proceed to take 2 losses in a row. I have to give myself a limit on what I'm willing to give back from my realized gains. And that's why I mentioned earlier, I might hop into sim. If you guys want to see me punch keys, I can make some simulated trades, or we can actually talk about sometimes the real effects of trading, and that is you make that trade that you need, you lock in that cash, and then you enjoy the rest of your evening. I've seen Wendy's tendies went for a hike. Other people do the exact same thing. So if I'm being frank with you, this is as real as it gets sometimes. You put on that trade, and then you're just like, all right, that's it. Less time in the market. I took a couple more attempts to extend my realized gains. They didn't work out for me. Now I have to follow my rules and accept and lock in what I've already made on the session.
All right, TDIC just ripped up there. I took the breakout. Pocket chipped into $2.25. We do have the high of the day on this one. Flattened out for a 2-penny winner for the last remaining amount. On TDIC, it really did rocket. The reason I got in, and I got in pretty aggressively there at the highs, is because it was the first closing print on the day not to retrace. The 1140 candle was the only closing print above $2. And now this one might be, the candle that closed at 240, that's kind of the first closing print that didn't retrace immediately after. We're on the 1245 candle. That's the candle that got into 225. It looks like it's still not done quite yet. TDIC making a move here and could be pretty good. But my USBC position, I'm starting to like this a little bit less. It's into 80 pennies. This is the level we wanted, but it's got to hold up here. I'm not seeing any buying. I'm looking at the 5-second chart. It's an unbroken downtrend of lower lows and lower highs into that 80 area, but we'll see what we get on this one. There goes TDIC again, right back into 223, 224. Big selling here. More aggressive selling at 24 than we saw at 25. And there was selling everywhere, by the way. By the way, TDIC, 5.1 million shares available for short on my platform, let alone anybody else's. So it could be a thick trade at literally every level. Because if I wanted to punch in short right now, my brokerage has 5.1 million shares available for borrow. And, you know, that's just one brokerage. So it looks like, you know, people are looking aggressively short, and that's why we're seeing this one kind of stagnate at random levels. But so far, the longs are winning, whether or not it's easy to short or not. It's up 114%. A little bit off the high there. There are some aggressive profit taking coming back down into the fifth of a dollar. Let's give this one the old college try here again, Joey. Let's try to bottom feed. We're going to go 216, and we're going to give it to around that. If it doesn't hold up above 216, I want that mid-teens to hold up. Now we're looking for a high day break. So 25 is the high. We're going to post at 27s and 30s. Let's see what we get, but I'm not liking my trade anymore on USBC. I'm now out of the money by 5 pennies, and I'm running thin on patience with this one. If it doesn't hold up here, then I'm going to be gonzino on this one, Joe, but it pops up right back into 81, 82. Still a bit of a downtrend here, nothing good to report on. Let's go back to TDIC. How's this one doing? Still showing some aggressive selling at the fifth of a dollar. I'm looking for a break above the 30 penny area. Otherwise, I get stopped out 3 pennies below for small amounts, so we won't really give much back here. 216, I get stopped out of TDIC.
All right, man. Good look there. No, I mean, I was thinking about putting on a potential short here on the SPY for it to catch up, and but that was up here at 732. Now we want to see if it's going to break this support level low. It's kind of the same structure that we had on the NASDAQ, breaking through the low, and the exact same thing that was in Circle. Man, these quantum names are really starting to bleed here, guys. And I mean, there it is, $11.50 on D-Wave QUBT. So, or that's quantum computing, sorry, QBTS is D-Wave. But other than that, man, let's take a look at some of the names that you guys are looking at. And this is, I called it earlier in the morning. I'm like, I don't think this is one of the sessions where we have any form of a sustained rally. The sell programs are fully engaged, and it's hard to go against it and catch a falling knife. If it is, it's going to be the latter half. And congratulations to the individual who said, Joe, not putting on any trades. You got 2 more hours of me after this as well, where I might find a trade, to be honest with you. So, yeah, there you go, man. Make sure you stick around. I got to stop with the sarcasm. But anyway, no, but in all reality, and I mentioned that earlier, if I see price action really start to turn around, I'll wait for that level and that time to come into play, which I think it's going to give us some good opportunities. I mentioned that my accuracy within trading from 2:30 on is significantly higher than in the earlier hours of the session. And I talked about yesterday just the lack of satisfaction, like how fulfilled do you feel after this? Not very, and especially if you try a couple more times. I could have easily fell into the rage bait of the overall market and kept trying to go long here on RGTI, and I would have gave back my whole day. Instead, I just give back about 20% of what I actually had, but I was willing to risk that, right? So anyways, yeah, I agree with you. Wow, what a break of 122 here on Circle as it just dives down to 120.50. So it drops $2 almost just like that. I'm waiting for the SPY to do the exact same thing. NVDA almost down 10. It was down $10 off of the high from 224 all the way down to 214 or 215 roughly. So man, oh man, a name that was putting in all-time highs day after day is no longer doing so. So it's unfortunate with that. Let's get rid of all of these trend lines. Apple, that flight to safety, Sharif, I know you don't like it, but at least it's not selling with the overall market, to be honest with you, and it's holding up the best. It put in a new all-time high just by a couple of pennies. Here today, so not too bad of a look. Amazon, Microsoft. Oh, here's another name, Softy, right? If we're talking about sitting through a little bit of pain in order us to get some gain, this is what kind of sucks about Microsoft. It's been in such long, lengthy consolidations. Like it was in one for quite some time, but then it decided to break out. Why do you got to be so difficult like that? All right, so this is a long period from January 24 to January. So a year of just trading within this range, you have this one whipsaw move, and then it decides to tank, but then it rips. So I think that's going to be the same narrative right here. You're going to sit in some pain, and for quite some time, massive float, high, large cap, big market capitalization name, takes some time to move price around, but you have to be patient because you are down substantially off of those lows, 35%, now sitting around 25%, but we do offer a divvy. I'm a dividend aristocrat now these days. That's all I'm looking for these days is how can I get that divvy? I told you my master plan, right?
What? Hear it.
I don't know how I would achieve this, but maybe a couple of YOLO plays. 10,000 shares of the SPY with a $1.96 quarterly dividend.
That'd be fantastic.
Danang.
Yeah, 10,000. Wow, of course, of course.
Oh, you know what I mean? It's like I have 20K USD sitting in the account, sitting on a beach, and you don't even need to worry about the appreciation.
No, man. And can I say something else?
Yeah.
When I travel west, I find it's a lot harder to trade the market, especially if you want to trade the open, and especially for
just from the time.
Exactly, small cap gappers.
When you want to go over to Asia, it's at nighttime.
There you go.
You know
when I go east, it's a lot easier, right? Because then you can kind of have a 9 to 5 or whatever you want to do with your life at that point.
Yeah.
And then come back in and trade. So I do like that.
And then get the gut feeling at nighttime.
Yeah, whatever. All right, guys, here's the deal. TDIC, we scalped up nicely on it. I missed that 240. It was too quick for me. Topping tail candle, watch out now for TDIC, okay? But it does have a new high of day, and it's closing well above 2, so that's the good news. We could get back into this, by the way. Let me just keep my eye on that. But I'm in stack here. I'm looking for 145 to hold up. There seemed to be a lot of selling at $1.45, and here we are back above the $0.50. I want to see if we can price spike up on stack. It just showed up as a breakout trade not long ago. Looks like it really started breaking out at about $12.25 in a high of day of $1.56. Let's see if this holds up above the 145 area. Otherwise, we'll stop out of this one. I'm looking at getting back into TDIC here. What's this area low? 213 or so. We're going to give this one the old college try. I think this is still holding the area low, so I definitely want to give that a try and try to take out that 240 high. I didn't quite get the opportunity to scalp anything in and around there. So prior bar low, by the way, is 214. So let's go ahead and give that a try, and we'll say 213, and we'll stop out through that should it fail. Continuing to watch, though, STAK. I don't know, man. The volume's dropping off. There's definitely not a lot of buyers pushing this one above the $0.50, but it's 45, the area, $1.45, the area that I've kind of earmarked as my stop. And there does seem to be some selling in and around there. So, or sorry, some buying, at least previously. There's TDIC again, making another move here. Let's see if it pops up. I'm going to put something at 29s, and then we'll put something a little bit above 29, see if we can kind of catch the price spike up, because I wasn't able to catch it last time around. So let's put a little bit above 40 as well, in case it does breach the high of the day. Continuing to watch both of these, Joey, STAK and TDIC. They're not bad lookers right now, especially with USBC breaking down below 80, AEHL. You know, I'm barely holding on to VWAP here, so you're definitely not getting much love from those ones. So we're going to keep trying the ones that are paying and are making the moves right now. TDIC is also well above 100%. But as I mentioned, 5.1 million shares available for short on TDIC. That's not the case, though, for STAK. There's no locates on my platform for STAK, so perhaps less aggressive short sellers. Here's TDIC showing 28.29. Let's see if we get the profit taker. Definitely selling. Oh, what a price spike up into 33. Looking for a bigger move now. Looking for the move above 40. There's 32. Good look here. We got some good shares as well into TDIC. Shall we probably scalp a little bit over here? Good luck, Joey. So looking for a move on both of these. For whatever reason, STAK still holding up above the dollar.
It is. And I mean, like, to say that when it's doing this is diabolical. I mean, like, it's not even doing anything. There's no liquidity, and you can see the correlation. Like, this doesn't even have, the market selling here today has nothing to do with oil, right? Like, I think this is chip driven. Just because we've been, obviously, and then we also have the CPI print, but the market will find an excuse to sell off. And sure enough, it had one here today as we're overextended, and then bang, off to the races we go. And I mean, I've been talking about the quantum space throughout the whole session, putting in new lows, RZTI, QUBT, QBTS. Just absolutely getting shellacked here. 88.66 on Netflix. Marvell selling here as well too, guys. So I mean, hey man, we talked about this. Ooh, watch out for this. It could be we could see some more downside here in Marvell. Big time move here though. I mean, 129%. Other than that, man, put the call ratio on Success has been over 3 for 3 days. So yeah, there you go. You see some bear sentiment stepping into the market, and look what we have on today's session. Circle down, back down to 121. SoFi, how have you been doing? Neil and I just talking like, man, these fintech names are not in play. Look at SoFi at a high of $20. You dropped 33% just like that, or 20%, sorry, I should say, off of that previous pivot high, and it looks like you're going to head a little bit lower. Dare I even look at Robinhood, $76, and we still haven't even broken this trend here. So, I mean, watch out. At some point, they might come back into play, but I just don't think that's going to be anytime soon, especially when there's so much interest within the tech trade. DraftKings, this one was going oppo taco here today, right? You had a nice little room from $24 all the way up to $25.75 coming back in south of the volume weighted average price, and there is some liquidity issues. But what is holding up pretty good here, Sharif, is the cybersecurity names. Right, so a big-time move that we've seen over the past couple of days, trading sessions in CrowdStrikes, the PanWs. I don't know about Zscaler, though. Has Zscaler been participating? Kind of, but it's still nowhere even close to, that's still down 56%.
Damn. Man,
oh man. Yeah, Intel was the short of the day. I mean, come on, what are we talking about this name at $130? Too far, too fast, now you're down 14%. It just pains me to think that people are all caught up there. Have I ever been in that position?
What?
Probably. But people who are buying, it's like, oh, Intel, yeah, I'm going to buy up here at $130. Okay, well, congratulations. The next day, you're down $15. And then now you have to DCA into a name that I think is slightly overextended.
Can I give an unpopular opinion?
Absolutely.
I think Intel is going to go higher. And I don't have any skin in the game.
I do too.
Yeah.
I truly believe that for multiple reasons. Obviously, Terafab, Apple deal, government stake, the stars are aligning. But at some point, it's the market. We get we get excited at the top. Then we're dramatic on the way down. It's just that for individuals and the uninformed are like, hey, let's buy up here. When if you're just a little bit more patient, you will get that price that you're looking for.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. But don't forget as well, political support. I know you said government stake. I get that.
Yeah.
I know. But the fact of the matter is, we know Lunatic was meeting with everybody behind the scenes. Howard Lutnick, we're just joking, of course.
Yeah.
He was meeting with everybody, Joe, and he was trying to get these leaders to throw their hat or to basically backstop it. Backstop's a wrong word.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand on the fact that we can't just go up forever, and you don't want to be the individual who's buying everything at the top. You want to be patient and get the prices that you specifically want.
All right, we're moving here, guys. There's a triple top now on the 5-minute chart on TDIC at 240. We're back in at 223. We're looking for a move above that 40 penny. It's a 41 penny level. There it goes into 43. There we get the print at 43. No continuation. I'm waiting at 47s now. We put a nice position on this one as well. TDIC is moving here, guys, and it probably behooves you to keep an eye out on this one. We could be headed to the $0.50. I'm simultaneously still holding STAK. I'm 5 pennies out of the money on this one. I'm starting to feel less confident about it. We'll see how this cookie crumbles. Adara.
Keep an eye on a handful of these pharmacy names. I'm specifically seeing SRPT and QURE to the upside here, Uniquire and Sarepta. We know Sarepta had some FDA issues in the past, and I bring this up because I'm seeing reports here, including from Politico, suggesting that Marty Makary, current commissioner of the FDA, will likely be resigning today, and apparently tapped to be his replacement is the man named Kyle Diamantis. I looked into him. I couldn't find out too much. He already works for the FDA, apparently. I'm going to look in a little bit further into Kyle Diamantis, but either way here, QURE and SRPT, apparently liking this news that FDA Commissioner Makary expected to step down as early as today. Back to you.
Yes, thank you. There were rumors that he was going to get fired, so we looks like he's getting ahead of that. All right, continuing to watch here, TDIC, nothing doing. We still haven't breached that 43 penny high, and we're back down into the 30s. So I'm going to continue to watch this one and see what we get. And then STAK, for whatever reason, keeps holding above the $0.5 generally. Of course, it does wick below. There's 55, there's 57, there's 58. What's the high of the day on this? This is the high of the day. No prints for me, though, because and it rejects. Right back into 58. Let's take out something here. I think we flashed 59s there. Come on. There's a huge seller at 59 now. There, let's go. There's 60. It's ripping, and we have a good position on this one. There we go on STAK. High a day, 6.2. We got 5.5, but we did take a big position on it. So continuing to watch here. Shout out to Grunfeld for pointing this one out to me. Shout out to my man there. Looking for continuation, 62 penny high. We're at 61. There's 62 again, coming in on the time and sales, but no continuation. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher, man. If we cleared that $0.5, I got a bit of a bias here that we mosey on up into 3/4. Who knows? We're close to 40. We're close to 50% up on the day, showing 43, 44 right now, Joey. So while you were gone, Joey, we took some nice trades there on TDIC as well as STAK. Shout out to my man Darwin. Shout out to Scott. You did tell me about that one, Scott. And there it is again, into 64. TDIC's on its horse. Let's see if this can get into the very coveted price, Joseph, options of 69. There.
HP, Dell, and Google all on watch. Looks like Dell and HPQ are apparently involved here in this new Google product called Google Book. This is apparently designed for Gemini Intelligence. So I looked into this. I'm just seeing that Google apparently announced this. A couple minutes ago, though, we actually had some reports that it had been leaked. So I'd have to wait for more details. Sounds like Google could just be getting ahead of the leaks here and announcing the product on its own. But either way here, Google Book, laptop product here, HPQ and Dell, both on the move here, again, related to this Google Book. Back to you.
Hey, they're trying to take a market share from the Apple Neo, Joey. But yeah, they already have the Chromebook, and we already know how that is. They're okay. I mean, they're a good price. But in terms if you want to upgrade them or if you want it to last for a long time, not really the platform.
I just think it's a popularity thing, and I feel like amongst the youth, everyone just wants to have Apple, because it's the it thing, right? Like Apple equals.
But there's a lot of Apple hate, brother. I mean, you got to see some of the message boards, or not the message boards, where it's 1992. In the comment sections, especially when there's Apple stories, there's a lot of people that hate Apple. I think that they hate them because they're kind of forced into their ecosystem, or there's things about the OS that they don't like, perhaps expensive.
Yeah, there's certain things
storage
that,
people constantly complain about. Right, the fact that you get rinsed every time you want to get a higher storage device, and they definitely disproportionately it costs you on Apple.
It's the updates too that sneakily get you. You're consistently updating the iOS updates, and they take up storage. Right?
They do.
So the majority of that. I like what someone mentioned this, Sharif. I agree that Apple is the glamour thing at this time, and the phones are, computers are so similar now. It used to be different. Yeah, I think that's the narrative. Someone mentioned this. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Here it is. Let's wait for a pullback here on IBIT. Regardless if this works or not, I like it because, one, we have an engulfing volume print met by an indecision candle at a low. And we have not been selling as aggressively here in Bitcoin as we have in some of the other chip names. So with that being said, a retest of 45.30, your boy is going to put on his first intraday or midday trade.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that crazy, but hey, man.
It's 107 right now. We should probably start the news soon. But guess what, Joey?
There it goes. Stack it up.
There, Assassino, that was so good, dude.
What did he do?
He was like right on time with that. I love it. I know you were.
Yeah,
he was waiting. Shout out to my man Assassino. Yeah. There goes STAK into 169. The coveted level of 69er, Joey. Now we just need a little bit higher into 70. We're posted above the 70s here. What do we got on? We got 55s. We took that flat top break, or we got in at resistance, quite frankly. I had to watch for 45. 45 holds, generally a 50 hold. We're at 69 right now, Joseph options, and there's a lot of selling in and around 69. The shorts must be earmarking this level as well. They must like that 6-9er number
like
there,
the
Joey. But
6-9er.
the fact of the matter is we're looking for the $0.75. I see you, Grunfeld. Grunfeld, you're the only reason I'm in this trade, brother. So shout out to my man Grunfeld there in the chat pointing out STAK while I was dilly-dallying on a USBC trade, which we did quite well on. USBC is by far and away my biggest winner on the day, but we did give a little bit back there off the top, full disclosure. We're going to see here whether we can make a little bit more back on STAK, because this hanging out at highs. A little 67 here, a little 68, 69 there. Looking for a move above the level, but shout out to my man. I pointed to you. What happened, Deep Tranquility? I didn't even see you, brother. Why were you pointing at me? Sharif, I pointed you to it. Sorry. Shout out to my man, Deep Tranquility. I'll give you credit as well. I mean, there can be more than one person that points it out, right? But shout out to Deep Tranquility. Thank you, my man, for pointing this one out. We just got into 69er again, Joey, and we keep rejecting that 6-9er level. Just touched it again, rejected again. So there's a whole lot of commitment by whoever is selling and or shorting at $1.69. Sorry, I just got a Bovin. The OG Bovins entered the chat. He's been here for a while, but I'm going to just do that for you know what and giggles. 1127 high. This was Bovin's call. HTCO. Shout out to my man Bovin. It just made a new high of day, and that puts it now above the pre-market high, having breached that 550 high, which was, Bovin, I'll tell you in a sec, 1098. So not only are we above 11, but we are above the pre-market high. And HTCO, where the hell is it? Show yourself, HTCO. It has done, Bovin, almost 8 2/3 million shares on the day with a 6-penny spread. I think that's pretty respectable, something we can stomach here, Joe.
Respect us. Yeah, for sure, man. All right, we did it, man. We're doing it live here, Sharif, off of this pullback. We're into the downtrend. There's a couple of things aligning that I like it. We went super small size as it instantly sells a couple of pennies against us there, but we'll flat on it, hit that bid. Let's see if this can continue to climb, guys. We are in some IBIT to see if we can get a little bit of a recovery here today. Again, I got about 10% of the amount of size that I had on that initial RGTI as it's slowly starting to work for us. Even though it's not much. I shouldn't be hitting the stone cold for a penny, but I mean, hey, man, we'll take it. It's better than negative a penny. I didn't hit the other time, but all right, there we go. I hit my limit on stone colds here today. But yeah, nice little bounce, guys. There's multiple stars aligning for us now. 3 cents ITM. We'll take that. Where's that next primary target going to be? 44s. We'll take as a bonus cash right now. But Gorev, Los Polios. I haven't seen Los Polios in the chat here today. But for all my VPA individuals, and I know there's a lot of people in the chat, there's some new individuals in there. We got Blicky Spears. We have Jesse Martinez. Jesse Martinez. Sharif and I used to do, that was a long time ago. Remember when we used to do the lesson of the day?
Oh, yeah.
So essentially one of the systems that I personally love to trade off is volume price analysis. So what it is the correlation between price action and your volume. And there's an anomaly that we like to classify as something where we have a massive effort candle or a candle of indecision followed by something like an outstanding volume print. And what we correlate that with is effort and result. So if you see a lot of volume but small candle, that can be classified as an anomaly. So we have this massive candle right here, but then an indecision print off of the lows. What is this telling us? That sellers push price all the way down to 45.21, but then have the ability to push it up 5 cents after that. Now, this is what Gorev and I and Los Polios are looking for day in and day out, because you can legit build a system off of it. Oh, where did I also build a system off of this? You guessed it, via algorithms. So that's what we have. One of my primary algos is literally this, quantified. So you eliminate the subjectivity and you just put everything into code.
All right, let's cut the crap.
Let's cut it, man.
What were you up to yesterday? I know you were up to something. You were scheming something.
I can't, man.
People want to know, Joey. The people have a right to know. They're committed.
They don't.
They show up every day to watch us. The least we can do.
Yeah.
The very least we can do is show them what kind of schemes you got going on.
I can't show them.
You can't show them?
Yeah, I can't.
It's that classified,
It's that classified, yeah. No, it's just something that I've been working on for quite some time.
You see that?
It's just something that I've been working on for the past little while, to be honest with you. Yeah, other than that, man, no, it's just me creating more algorithms and just like, just finding things because, again, I have no coding background. I don't know. I literally
don't need it anymore,
I don't,
baby.
exactly. I wouldn't even know where to start where it came to coding. But thanks to ChatGPT and the Claude, I can now take what's in this scramble of a brain of mine and put it into words, right? So that's
Isn't that empowering? Like, I remember when we were studying in poli-sci, we had to do a unit on Marxism.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just have to, right? Especially where I went to school, York University.
Yeah.
And I'll leave that. My comments on that school out for a second. But they would always talk about Marxism and reclaiming the means of production. So it's like when capitalism took over, they separated the means of production from the person. So it's like, you know, you want to build a pencil, you need to get the machine to build that pencil, right? And so the machine is owned by the capitalist class, and you are just a lowly peasant. You know, they don't call you a peasant. But you see what I'm saying?
I mean, they don't
now,
call you it, but
you're almost reclaiming the ability to code. You no longer have to rely on anybody else. I love that reclaim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty cool, to be honest. I like that. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But no, in all reality, it's just something that I've been working on for quite some time. I mean, I always got ideas in my head, but sometimes you just need to put pen to paper or B to A, as they would typically say. You know what B to A means?
No, I don't. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so pen to paper or B to A or B to A, right?
Okay.
So
I get that.
No, it's just something like, again, I've been working on it for quite some time, the past little while, and that's just essentially what it is.
You know what email I got, eh?
No.
Got to do the exam.
Oh, you have to do yours?
Yeah, 20 days. Otherwise, I get
it's not
locked up.
You're locked up.
I got to do the exam. What I'm talking about, guys, we have to do a yearly certification exam for some of the rules on trading floor, right? And so I got to do that every year. How do you sit next to this guy when he keeps such secrets? Spill the beans.
Oh.
Joe on algos. I tried to tell him, man, he won't do it. There is a man.
What do you say?
There's Luis Barbado.
Easy exam.
It's an easy exam, Luis. Yeah, we take care of that exam every week, every year, Luis.
Yeah,
and we never ever do anything untoward around.
There it is, B to A there, Sharif, on IBIT, as now we continue to climb. So a nice little entry off of the pullback. We were looking for
big
this
time here. U.S. Appeals Court temporarily pauses the trade court ruling against Trump's 10% tariffs under Section 122. Okay? Interesting development there in the world of tariffs. Be on the lookout for market moves. I'm not immediately seeing anything here. It looks like maybe the Q's jumping off, trying to get back into 7, but be on the lookout there. Shout out to the OG, Darwin. Thank you for that, Darwin. I did see that as well coming in on the blotter. Sorry to interrupt you, Joey, but I just wanted to mention that for anybody who cares. RXT, people are saying?
Joey,
maybe an
ChatGPT
opportunity?
used for the exam or just for code? Oh, whoa. Don't expose Feargo.
What happened,
Wow.
Joey?
You see what Feargo said?
No,
Joe,
I
you
didn't.
fresh though, shorty. I appreciate you, man.
Joe, is ChatGPT used for that exam?
Shh, don't say it out loud.
That's crazy. We would never do anything like that. To even suggest something like that? Who do you think we are, man?
Don't narc, man. See, this is what, you know what we classify ourselves as, Sharif? A sniper. All this time, think about it. The midday's been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I didn't take a trade, but then we put one on, and it's IBIT to the top side.
That's a big move, too. That's not small at all. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, man.
You know what they typically say, man?
What do they typically
Good things
say,
come
Joey?
to those who wait. Good things come. Sound like my kid doing their homework using ChatGPT. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Hey.
What happened, Joey?
By all means, what are we even doing with these tools if we're not going to use them? Yeah, exactly. What are we even talking about? Let's take a little bit off here on IBIT as we continue to climb. Bang. All right, IBIT, we take a little bit of a partial. We talked about that resistance zone starting to come into play. But yeah, no, one day I'll show you guys what the boys scheming up here. It's pretty good. It's coming along. It's not as easy as I thought, but is anything ever that way?
No.
So yeah.
Really.
Dude, so
Yes, sir.
I told you I have 3 complete algorithms that I did, and they have really good accuracies. I showed you guys multiple times with how they perform and everything. They've probably been performing pretty good throughout this market run. But other than that, there's a handful that I want to construct, and there's a time and a place for everything. Hold on.
Get it, Joey. I want to show a video, too, that I'm going to send you, so just ignore that message I sent you. I just did it for my own good here.
Okay. All right, let's do it right now. We're going bites to bucks.
That's crazy.
Let's pull it up here. Sorry for the lackluster. Why would we ever want... oh, yeah, we do have individuals bravely up there on TikTok. I hope everyone there in our TikTok family is doing pretty good. But let's start. Let's take a look at here and see how our performance is on one of my favorite that I've ever constructed is on this bad boy. And we're gonna change our date range on this one. There's a couple of them right there. Here, look, I'll tease you guys a little bit. I'll tell you guys, oh snap, oh snap. All right, we gotta delete that. We can't allow you guys to see all that. All right, no, I'm just messing around with you guys. I'll do it one more time, just so you guys can see. Oh, I almost said, ooh. All right, delete that. All right, let's pull it up. Let's get serious here. It's all fun and games, I understand that, but at times we need to lock in. Okay, and this is our time that we're looking to lock in. So we took an opportunity here on this name, but it did get stopped out, rightfully so. Metrics, how we've been performing. Let's actually change our date range. We're gonna go our past 30 days. Oh, I don't even have the premium. Come on, man, what kind of garbage is that? April 6th to May 12th. That's good enough for us, okay? So here it is. This is how it's been performing on the best name. 7 trades. 4 for 7 with a profit factor of 1.8, and you can see the P&L in the past month. Now, what I did is I went through a basket of stocks, and I was at one point when the market was rallying, I was looking for something that it didn't work on, and it was actually really hard. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything along those lines, but here it is. Over the past couple of days, April 27th, May 5th, it hasn't been performing well. But where we won is earlier in our, oh man, come on, man. Was earlier at the beginning of previous month. Now, let's take a look at our entries and exits. Why do you got to do that? Why you got to be so rude? Here it is. So we get a good entry right here, and then eventually we hit the profit target within the same thing. What is the objective? What is my specific objective with creating and constructing this stuff? Is eliminating the subjectivity within trading and eliminating the emotions, right? Like, you want something to be so, and I think that's why trading is so hard, is because we have that human aspect. And I heard someone mention the other day, is like, imagine a heart rate monitor was just flat.
Right.
That means you're essentially dead. So that's like life. It's really hard and it's really difficult for only certain humans can obtain that. And I think that's why trading is so tough, is because we are human and we do go through certain emotions.
Man.
Here's another entry right here. Here's another entry right here. Boom. We take that profit target, and then we'll go over one more, and we'll go over a couple more names before we get into news, and we send it back over to Sharif. But this just eliminates everything and just remains objective, and that's what I want, right? As Neil was talking about his lesson of the day, what is our goal here? What is our goal? It's to make money. What is our job? It's to make money. And what does it matter if you utilize the tools that are now provided for us in order to do so? Because at the end of the day, if it's not, aside from doing it in a dirty way, $100 bill is a $100 bill, right? You don't want to do it in the wrong way. It's only taken one trade here on AMD, but that's fine. May 5th, not too long ago. Entering exactly when we wanted to, and it puts on this big substantial run off of these lows, and then off to the races it goes here in AMD. We can go through a couple more names as soon as we get back from Adara.
So to let you guys know here, market bouncing nicely here off these lows. This started a little bit before 1 p.m. I have some comments, though, coming from Feds Goolsby, which are not so nice. Feds Goolsby saying that the CPI report tells them, quote, not much that's good. He usually words things in kind of a roundabout way. Basically, he's saying CPI report didn't deliver, I guess, a lot of good news here for the Fed or for the American people. Further saying that inflation is, quote, going the wrong way, and that's not just an oil and tariff-related, quote, thing. So he's saying that unlike certain comments made, I think, by certain feds or within rate statements. It's not just a tariff and oil-related issue. All of inflation is concerning, at least in Goolsbee. From his perspective, he also said the drift upwards in services specifically is of concern for him. So services inflation getting flagged by Goolsbee. He said overall CPI report was not great. Back to you.
No, just the performance on this
Market's ripping here, bro.
Yeah, the market's
back
really
above
starting to recover.
700. It's like $5 off the low, $4 off the low. It's really going. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but not very many people are cut from that cloth. Anyways, look at the performance on this thing from on MU. Insane. 80% profitable, profit factor of 3.66. That, like, crazy stuff. We'll go over some of the losses, but it's picking up exactly what we wanted to. This is the loss earlier, so it took 2 trades in one day. But it's just very specific in the criteria. Specificity is key. Does it trigger that often? No. But when it does, the probability is working in our favor, and it allows you to put together something that shoots at an 80% clip rate with a profit factor of 3.66. That's big time. Hasn't been performing well on SanDisk. Give me another, Marvell. There we go. Let's take a look at Marvell. Hasn't been performing very well on Marvell. So it's, I mean, like if you go through a list of the names, there's a couple of big losses that it takes here. Rightfully so, you take this big move up here and then it decides to sell. That was on today's session, to be honest with you. And then we have another one on April 14th that didn't work out for it. But I mean, the more specific, the more detail you put into your criteria and you spit that into whatever large language model that can give you it back in code, then I think the higher accuracy and the chances of profitability are a little bit higher.
How do I display my ins and outs on this thing? Because I've
Show trades
Where is that?
on your on the left-hand side.
On this one. On the left-hand side?
Yeah.
Where is that? Display execution, partial fills. I don't know why it's not showing up. All right, we just took a nice scalp on the Qs, guys. Got in 778. It's coming back against me, but we did scalp up into about 71.25. Let's see if it holds up above this level. Aggressive move above 700. All right, this is the video I want to show. So let me just set the context here. Okay. So this is FSD on a Tesla, and the situation is that there's a cop obviously blocking the road. He's diverting traffic around because there is some sort of problem. Look, in front of his, you're so distracted. Yeah. There's a problem in front. He has like a blockade there, right?
Yeah.
So watch what the Tesla does. This is completely autonomous. It waits for his directions. I thought this was pretty freaking cool. Watch this, guys. So it stays. It's obviously hanging out, waiting for traffic to clear. Watch how it actually responds to his hand directions. So he's telling the other side to stop. So I just want to point out the fact that it's not going here just because it's clear, because it's clear here. Now the cop is telling this car over here to stop. Now watch this. It tells the freaking car to move with a wave.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, if that isn't, that's not cool. If that's not real world AI, what the hell is? A Waymo would never do that.
Yeah.
Waymo would start going by a shooting like we saw last time. Right? I thought that is actually pretty cool, man. I mean, it waits and waits and waits, and then it waits, basically, it reacts to human instructions. I think that is really cool. And that's kind of what we've been talking about, the reality of some of these autonomous vehicles. Yeah, got stopped out of the last remaining amount for on the Qs. It's coming back down, rejecting 701.
You said you're trading the Qs, but you have NVDA on your
Yeah, I know. I don't know why it's not showing up. So there it is. That's what makes sense. Yeah. So we took out the majority. I know. Right into 701 because I was looking at the tape. That's why, right? I was really fixated on the tape. Let's see if 700 holds up. But that video was super interesting to me. I had to actually save that on X. Let's see if we can get above 701 again. So the high of the local area there was 701.28. We held up above 700. Looks like a nice 700 defend here. But the future moving up, guys. Keep your eyes out on that. Got stopped out the remaining amount on TDIC, but we did do well on this one. It did fail some of my levels, especially that 215 level where I had earmarked some support. So as soon as it came back into 215, we got the hell out of there. STAK as well, back into the 10 EMA / volume weighted average price.
176 rejection, now dropping back down into the mid 150s. Let's see if this holds up above 150. It certainly has a higher low. Local area low is like 151 or 150 and a half, right around that candle where I got stopped out. So STAK still looking pretty decent here with a general higher trend. We'll keep tabs on that. We'll see how this one does. Sharif just bumped up Tesla. Yeah, right. Come on, YV7584. Don't say stuff like that, man. That's not accurate. TPS reports 01. I want FSD for everyone else's car. There's just so many bad drivers out there. Yeah, I believe that. Atkinson Electronics. Love my Tesla for all these reasons. It drives me everywhere, literally. Do we think NVIDIA will be 223 by the end of the day? I don't feel it is that kind of day. Now, we did get a bit of a bump up on the market, but we're right back below 700. So I don't think it's the semis day today. And the reason I say that is as follows. Look at this. So starting from here, that's my semiconductor watch list. It goes all the way down. So from NVDA at the top to TER at the bottom, there's not one that's green, nor is there one that's green since open. So you can't say, oh, maybe it's just down from like the 4 a.m. print, but since the bell rung, we're up. There are none, because this column here is from 4 a.m. and this column here is from 9:30. There's nothing green. So it's not the semis day today. Let's have a look here at FCell, because I was giving this one to people as a possible swing. Let's see how FCell, because it gave up a lot today, obviously. Yeah, still looking bull flaggish, man. I mean, we're back above 15. I haven't executed on the sell quite yet, but I'm definitely interested. Perhaps today, bottom feeding off that 1454. I'm probably going to swing a trade on FCell here, guys. I really do mean that. It's stair-stepping up. It's got a couple of bull flags. It's generally respecting support and resistance. You can kind of see that high end of the range, and that's where we bounce off today. So look, FCell is coming from way, way higher. I don't know if the bag holders are still holding from, the 24s and the 23s when this thing was trading markedly higher than we are now. But I do anticipate some resistance in and around this area that we are right now. That takes us back to basically May of 2024 when we had a low of about 1750. Lo and behold, we've been rejecting 1750 now for a couple of days. So I do anticipate 1750 to be a bit of a staunchy resistance area. But once we clear it, if we clear it, of course, nothing is what, it's more if, then we could definitely have a bigger move, I would say, probably into about 23 to 25, just given this area over here. But we also could have trouble at 20 because that is a $10 level, right? And there could be resistance in and around there. So I'm still pretty bullish on FCell, not because I really care about the company, but because the technicals are looking pretty good. So it's kind of what I look for there. And that's what I wanted to mention because I did speak about FCell yesterday. Should we get into a little bit of a pseudo news segment? I know we don't have Sia on the day, but we'll kind of do it live, yeah, you and I. Should we get ready?
Yeah,
right, let's bring it in, man. Let's bring it in.
Holy, look at this.
What happened?
Performance. So, guys, I just went through essentially the Mag 7 and then some. And the performance is... Yeah, man.
What, man? It looks good?
It's amazing.
The algo?
Yeah, watch this. You ready? We'll do it quick. We'll do it quick, okay? NVDA. Look at the bottom corner right here. Total P&L, okay, on each individual one. Oops. This is sorry for that. I just typed in a random ticker and it works. Oh my God. No, I obviously don't. So P&L, NVDA, right? So you see P&L.
Back testing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So P&L, you see that in profitability with your profit factor. NVDA, green. We have AAPL, green. We have Google.
Why don't you run it on the actual platform, but run it for like $5 or something?
Oh, I have. I've been on my on the
That's what I mean.
on the yeah, man.
Nice.
On so look at Google, another one. So we go 3 for 3 right there. Microsoft, the name that has been to the downside. Oh, okay, green. Amazon, how you been performing? How you doing? Okay, down 93 bucks. Tesla, big time run. You guessed it, green. AVGO. Down a little bit here, not too bad. And then what else do we have? Meta, down. I mean, that name's down. And then we had AMD. So, I mean, out of the first top names, it's been pretty good. How's it been on IBIT? Yeah, that's a great question. Oh, yeah, well, there it is. 7 for 17. So it's more active. more active, 41% with a 1.6% or 1.606 profit factor. So yeah, there it is, man.
All right, let me just cover TDIC. Thank you very much, Bravely, for sending that over. So K Ondara 246 on TikTok, you're asking if we're going to get back to $2.40 on TDIC. Let's load that up because it's a little bit off the high. So we got into a triple top there in and around 240. Why I got out of this is because it lost 215 and I had earmarked 215 for support, right? Because that was the double top there. I would say first order of business, we definitely need to defend 2 and you need to see a trend change bouncing off 2. So you need to see a curl using that $2 area support. Now you've got part of that with this candle here bouncing right off 201. Following candle has a higher low. Following candle that has a higher low and a higher high. So we could be on the way possibly for a retracement showing 208. It's up 100% at the moment. But I would say see if it can get past 215. If it can, look for the volume to step in, just like you saw over here. See how like the volume stepped in aggressively relative to this kind of chasm of no action because it pushed it up into area high. So that's kind of what you want to see again. See how the volume is declining? And then if we get back above 215, 220, look for that volume profile to kind of pump up again and make another move. But whether or not we get back into 240, hard to know. I mean, there could be a big seller who comes in. But thank you very much, Bravely, for pointing that out. And thank you very much, K Ondara, for asking that question. All right, let's start the news. Joey. Have you heard of this thing called USO?
I have.
You have, eh? Well, it's up today, 3 1/3, but a little bit off the highs. So let's talk about this. As we talked about, President Trump said the ceasefire yesterday was essentially, quote, on massive life support, and he rejected Tehran's counterproposal altogether. He called it garbage. He said he didn't read the full thing because basically it was a non-starter right from the first few points. Immediate escalation risk is back in focus. As you see today, all the semis are red. And, you know, the only major average that's green on the day is the Dow. It's up 0.01, the DIA, mind you, not even the DOW. Since the conflict began, WTI and Brent are both up more than 40%. It confirms this is no longer a headline blip, but a major macro event. Citibank flagged further upside if the U.S.-Iran negotiations remain difficult, which at least they do for now. There's also institutional desks that still see asymmetric upside risk in crude. I guess they're gauging that, you know, the Iranians are going to be tougher negotiators than we had once thought. Potential China involvement, obviously, via President Xi Jinping, and the diplomacy could add another macro wildcard if Trump pushes Beijing to pressure Tehran. And if you believe the reports, they already are. It makes sense that they already are because they're the ones that are being most affected by this, Asian countries. The implication here is that energy inflation risks returns just as the markets were booming and kind of becoming more comfortable with the broader macro backdrop. The core thesis is this remains a pure geopolitical tape play where headlines, not really fundamentals, to be honest with you, dominate the short-term direction. Joe.
Yeah, so Joey. As for USO, we see the kind of the divergence between that and the overall market. Once we hit that ceasefire, the market decided that it was going to go on a substantial rally. We know what's going on. We had the increase, a slight uptick here in the CPI print. I think a lot of that has to do with the increase of oil costs and energy costs right now. Once the deal is done, I think things will start to cool down, but the real question is how long is that going to take? And the Iranians aren't going to just roll over and agree to anything. They're going to demand a lot, and I don't know. That's the narrative that I sit on. Expect this conflict to go on for significantly longer than what we're anticipating.
Agree. You want to talk about on? I don't really like their shoes.
It doesn't really matter.
I want to talk about ASTS.
ASTS. We can talk about on if you want. It's up to you.
Do you have any of their shoes?
No. But
are you interested in buying any of their shoes?
No. And that leads to my point. Like, how has this name been performing?
Take a quick look at the technicals.
We'll take a look at
ON.
Yeah. I don't know why it does that.
That's all right.
It goes on to the point of what I was talking about earlier, man. Sharif, I know you and I had played a game about, and you bought American Eagle or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it just leads to my point. If you're the most popular brand on the planet and being Nike, and your stock has been extremely underperforming, why would you even waste your time getting involved in these retail spaces? It's an ever so revolving door, in my opinion, within athleisure and just kind of apparel, and we're seeing that reflected here and on. And yeah, sure, you can see some upticks and you can see an increase in popularity, but it's proven that one day you're hot, the next day you may not be.
Yeah, you're clearly right about that. But there's going to be a point where these bottom out. Like, do you not see that recovering? Because I mean, you know, yeah, you make a good point previously about the Gymsharks and the onlines. And I've never seen men wear Define, but I see plenty of women at the gym wearing Define. That seems to be taking a lot of market share away from the Aloes, from the Lululemons. I get they're not public companies, but in general, wouldn't you just agree that people are more gym inclined than they have been in the past?
Yeah, I do agree in that aspect. But one thing that I want to note is that, like, think about how long we've been talking about the consumer weakening talks have just been as for the past little while, right? But when the consumer was strong and you go on this big time run, well, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in some of the in the retail names, but nothing from a sustained standpoint. So if the consumer is going to continuously get weak, what does that mean for some of these other names?
Less spending.
Right? I mean, like, let's not beat around the bush. During the holiday seasons, you get the upticks in them. You see those pops. You see the rotation into the retail names. But what happens right after that? If we're talking about rising, right? We're talking about rising debt levels and people are running for the hills, essentially. Well,
so do you mean all discretionaries, or just you think in athleisure, just in isolation?
Well, if we're saying all discretionary, that would include the Teslas, the Amazons, and everything along those lines.
Put that in there, but
right? But you know what I mean? The things that aren't necessities, and I think the first thing that you really dump is just buying new clothes.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. Let's go on here, talk about ASTS. The space story is still intact, but the valuation here meets reality. Where is ASTS on the day? We used to trade ASTS as like a small cap gapper, man, down 13.4. Let's talk about this one, then I'll give my comments about this one in a second. So EPS, you know, it missed big, 66 pennies negative. The street was looking for just about a little bit less than 23 pennies negative, of course. Major earnings miss as commercialization still very much nascent and in the early stages. Revenue much lower than expected. $14.7 million in revenue. The street was looking for $39 million. That's a 62% miss, man. I mean, sharp miss, showing, you know, lumpy near-term execution. The full-year guide was maintained by the company. They're guiding $150 to $200 million in that top-line number. That's a key silver lining here. It's suggesting that management sees backlog conversion being, you know, actually converted in the coming quarters. So a miss this quarter, but they're saying, you know, backlog, RPOs, whatever you want to call it, they've got it in the pipeline. We'll have to see if they realize it. Contracted revenue backlog topped $1.2 billion. That reinforces the long-term visibility despite this ugly quarter. ASTS expects 45 satellites in orbit by the end of this year. That is a major operational milestone, especially for scaling out that network we've been talking about, these low Earth orbit satellites. I mean, they could replace local towers, right, as we know them, cell towers. Street still sees profitability by 2028 with a projected $1.6 billion in annual sales. This remains a long-duration execution story. We're still at the very early stages. Stock was already up, I mean, 220%, Joey, in 12 months pre the report. The expectations, you know, to be fair, are extremely elevated given how the market was pricing this. The key narrative, this was less about fundamentals breaking and more about valuation getting punished after a momentum run. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, just talking about their full year, they're still looking to hit target between 150 million and 200 million. So unfortunately that they had a big time miss, but we're looking at some of the operating expenses growing substantially here, Sharif, from $63.7 million a year earlier to $164 million. So that's a big time increase. And then you obviously, as Sharif mentioned, missed bigly on revenue to the tune of 62%. So, I mean, you have a couple of things aligning, and I think you can correlate both of those metrics into the fact that, yeah, things are costing you a lot more, and sure enough, you are going to miss out on some of those revenue projections. But hey, we talked about this a couple of times, Sharif. I think it's best for some of these names like the ASTS to get involved with some of these cell phone providers because, one, they have the client base. It's kind of like the middleman in the Uber of style of things, because we want that satellite connectivity where you're in the middle of nowhere and there's you have no signal. This gives you the ability to still be intact with whatever's going on from a social standpoint. So yeah, it's unfortunate that it's a big time miss. The stock is still down 45%. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see some big-time partnerships in the near future between some of the cell phone providers and these lower over and these what am I looking for? The satellite companies, right?
I got you.
All right, shout out to Stuart. Stuart calling out AEVA as Asino. It is breaking out. So this is the chart on AEVA. Lost VWAP, now is ripping into the day high. Up 17.5%, not strictly a small cap gapper with a $1.1 billion market cap, but that could be because it's up 17 and change. AEVA. All right, here are the 3 points I want to make about ASTS. First of all, underreported is this massive $155 to $160 million non-cash asset write-off. It's coming in due in Q2 because the post-quarter loss of the Bluebird 7. That was sort of offset a little bit by insurance, but they ate some of that. So remember that whole debacle with the satellite? Well, that was offset a little bit by the insurance cost there. Now, while management did reaffirm their full-year guide, they quietly lowered the 2026 satellite deployment numbers. So they said approximately 45. That was down from the previous range of 45 to 60, so it could be about 25% less. So those are bad. That's a bad headline there. But what I did really like is that this company is developing their own custom ASICs. And they successfully tested it, and they achieved a speed of 98.9 megabits per second on unmodified smartphones. So what they revealed was new custom ASIC designed to support 10 gigahertz of processing bandwidth, effectively doubling the data speeds of the current in-orbit Block 1 satellites. I like that. So once they actually get these up there, we're expecting some good stuff from them. Hopefully, there'll be a bunch. There'll be Blue Origin, there'll be SpaceX, there'll be this one. We'll have to see how many are in competition. Any more comments before we go on to the next one?
No.
All right, let's talk about HIMS and HERS. Let's see where they're at right now. AEVA is still ripping, guys, in today's highs, by the way. HIMS, down 13.16. Lost 40 pennies per share. Street was looking for a plus for... Sorry, they lost 40 pennies per share. The Street was looking for 4 pennies per share of profitability. That is a major miss, as restructuring as well as inventory write-downs and the legal kind of merger cost crushed all their profitability, at least for the current quarter. Revenue also missed expectations as a transition from the compounding of these GLP-1s, basically making them in-house, to offering branded GLP-1s, obviously eating into margins there, and that's going to hurt the top line number as well as the bottom line number. The stock reaction, as we know, down over 13%, a sharp repricing as growth investors reassess the near-term execution. The strategic pivot, though, towards branded GLP-1 drugs is very margin negative, as I kind of alluded to earlier, but is intended to create what the company is saying anyway is a more durable, compliant business model. We know that they were getting sued left, right, and center by the makers of these GLP-1s, as well as there was a regulatory overhang as well. The FDA was really putting pressure on them to stop it. There was a time where they were allowed to do this when some of the components for GLP-1s were on back order. That's obviously since been cured, and there's no legal justification for them to be making these as they're still under license to the respective manufacturers. Management expects profitability to return into 2027. That's kind of a long wait for investors who are demanding near-term earnings. The key narrative shift, though, Joey, is that HIMS is moving from an aggressive high-growth arbitrage model towards a more kind of like traditional healthcare platform, but the risk is still substantial. Now, I wanted to get your opinion on something.
Yeah.
You and I have joked around about the fact that there is all these sort of telehealth, internet health providers.
Yeah.
In Canada, there's Phoenix. In the States, there's Hims and Hers.
Yeah.
You can get hair stuff. You can get sexual stuff.
Yep.
You can get weight loss stuff. And now, as I told you, on the subway, they are now offering ADHD medication for basically without even really seeing a doctor. It's basically a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Adair in a second, but I want to get your take on the shift from, traditional doctor pharmacy into, this whole telehealth
sounds
online
good.
thing.
Yeah, sounds good.
Now, we heard earlier that the U.S. Appeals Court temporarily pausing the trade court ruling against President Trump's 10% Section 122 tariffs. Now, apparently, the appeals court is also now considering a U.S. bid for a longer pause in the tariff ruling. So they got the pause. Now they're considering a longer pause. Market not reacting too much to this. Also, worth noting, some individuals have been added to the list of people accompanying President Trump on his trip to China, which is going to kick off tomorrow. Now, these individuals are all from the government and from his cabinet. You've got U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who's already indicated today that he would be going with Trump. He's apparently coming. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, understandably coming as well. Back to you.
Go ahead, Joe.
So the question is, how do I feel about it?
Yeah, I know it's super convenient for people. You don't have to schlep to the doctors. You don't have to schlep to the pharmacy. But are you kind of confident the checks and balances for giving people the right medication? You maintain that checks and balances when there's this sort of model. What are your thoughts? Give me your overall thoughts. Anything you have there.
I'm going to use this example, Sharif, and I know you talk about it. You don't want, some people do need to be babysat, in my opinion, right? But you're like, hey, man, you don't want the government babysitting.
Yeah, I'm getting
Could this be the exact same thing? It's like, hey, possibly, if you feel that you want to take advantage of some of these drugs that you would have to go and see a doctor in the past, but now you don't, then maybe that's one of those situations where it's like, hey, I feel like this would help me in this aspect of life. I don't want to go through the basic process of going to sitting in the Canadian healthcare system. Oh, I got to make a doctor's appointment now and go sit in the clinic for X amount of time, and then I have to go get a prescription and then go over and do that. No, you could just go straight to this thing. And it's kind of the same thing that was happening in the earlier days before marijuana was legalized, right? Like you just go there and it's just like you speak to the doctor and they're like, you know what I mean? Here it is. Here's,
said.
Yeah, right? So I think it's the same. I think they're
You like the
very
liberalization of it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you hate it.
No, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm not completely against it, but it's just more or less like you don't have to go through the basics of how you typically would before, right? Just that step-by-step process.
Right. Do you think it should be, my opinion is it should be limited to certain things, yes and no. Like when you're asking for ADHD medications, these are controlled drugs.
Absolutely.
They're below narcotics, right? So they're controlled, like have to be put in a safe. The pharmacist you have to double count them. There's all this stuff that comes with being controlled. I don't know how I feel about that, just being dished out.
Totally.
That's my concern. Now they say you go through a process, you do this testing. I don't know.
I get what you're saying, but then we can also kind of caveat that with the fact that it's like, hey, you know how we have all this regulatory around gambling and everything? It's like, do you trust certain people with X amount of money? Right?
Great point. I think everybody's a little bit different on that one.
You know what I mean?
I get that.
And then to add to your point, it's like, okay, you don't want to dish it out, but what if there is the small percent of individuals who don't abuse it? Who are like, hey, it really helps me with this. You do it when you're supposed to, and that being
fair. I think that's a fair opinion. Let's keep going over here. Rigetti. We'll talk about, not Rigetti, we'll talk about QUBT because it was up a lot more. So QUBT, where is it at? Wow, what a sell-off. Up 13.5%, showing 1156. The high of the day is 1445, but revenue here, 3.69 million. That's not a typo. That's how much they made in revenue on the quarter. But that beats expectations by about 18%. 3.13 was what the street was looking for. Headline beat sharply above the $39,000 they did in revenue last week on the quarter. Still tiny relative to valuation, but a big move nonetheless. The net loss did widen. That's not unexpected there, as we're still in the development phase. $20 million they lost this year. They lost $8.3 million last year. The commercialization remains far from profitable. Stocks up big, showing kind of traders are rewarding even modest revenue traction in the quantum names. The key overhangs, though, and I think this really applies for most of the quantum names, is the credibility and the execution risk around, well, in this case, it's around their Arizona foundry strategy after the prior short seller scrutiny, and more on the Arizona foundry in a minute when I give my comments. Management says the foundry has begun generating revenue, but without quantifying its contributions to that revenue number. Interesting point. Strategic pivot is Luminar Semiconductor and Nano QT acquisitions by QUBT brought in the story into photonics as well as quantum communications. The leadership stability also improved with a new permanent CEO now in place. The bottom line, though, is cleaner quarter than feared, but still a highly speculative execution strategy. Before we get Joey's opinion, going up to Adero.
Looks like President Trump speaking live right now outside the White House. He's making some comments about Iran, saying that he's only going to be making a good deal. So I guess doesn't want to pressure deals. We heard him say earlier, wants to make sure that they make a, quote, good deal with Iran. Further saying that he's going to be having a, quote, long talk with China's President Xi on Iran, though he says he doesn't think he needs Xi's help with Iran. So just be aware, President Trump is talking. He's talking China. He's talking Iran. If there are any market-related comments here, I will let you go, or let you know. Back to you.
Isn't it? She's my friend.
Yeah, they're friends now.
They're friends.
So do you think as a friend, he's going to open up the strait for President
I don't know. I'm
Xi?
starting to wonder how much pull China has here with Iran, because you figure they want their oil. Mm-hmm. And we saw what the satellite images showed, I think it was 2 weeks ago, almost a week and a half ago now, that they were filling up their strategic oil reserves, and they were filling up at area highs, price-wise. Yeah. So clearly, you punch in at highs, you kind of have a feeling prices might go up a little bit higher. You don't buy at highs unless you think it's going to go up higher,
Do you think China would ever threaten the States with supplying Iran with weaponry if they didn't get the deal done?
It's a possibility, but I just think there's too much to lose for China in that regard. Yeah. I mean, nothing is out of the realm of possibility. You want to comment on QUBT? Because I have some things to say.
I mean, obviously, we're talking about some of the numbers. I mean, 39,000 take home, that's not much, but we're still in the early stages of this technology. We expect this CapEx is going to be heavy. We've seen it across the board in the whole space. And then that return, just because there's nothing that you can actually use this for. What is the use case of some of this technology? I think we're still in the earlier stages of that, and that's why you're just going to see extremely low profitability at the end of the day.
Yeah, and people are saying in the chat that they're already supplying them with weapons. Yeah, we did see those report, the shoulder-fired rocket launchers or whatever. We did. I think what we're talking about is a little bit more and more persistently. Yeah. From what I gathered your opinion to be. All right, guys, let's talk about the acquisition of these two companies here. They're called Luminar Semiconductor and Nano QT. So the revenue explosion by QUBT was almost entirely inorganic. It was driven by the first quarter consolidations of these two companies that they acquired. So that's kind of, if you're looking at organic growth, it really hasn't manifested quite yet. Now, let's talk about that Fab 1, that Arizona facility. So for the first time, their Arizona manufacturing facility known as Fab 1 began generating what they call small batches of commercial revenue. The market is kind of cheering the confirmation of the planned Fab 2 facility, signaling the company is kind of moving away from that just R&D and we're a science experiment kind of thing into, high volume foundry services. So that Arizona plant, and not the Taiwan semi-Arizona plant, but QUBT's. And then there was also $16 million in hidden backlog. So even, the operational highlights were pretty good, but they did confirm there was a contract backlog of around $16 million. And for a company that only generates about $3.7 million currently in the quarter, that's a massive backlog that could provide, 3 or 4 quarters worth of revenue in the future. Hence why they're saying that they have a lot of backlog. So we'll have to wait and see if they're able to realize any of that, Joey.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to talk about Mara?
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing here on quantum computing. I mean, we talked about the early stages of things, and it's just not really being overly liked right now. One thing that we can take from a positive note, but when you're at the lower end of the spectrum, you have the ability to climb a little bit higher, which brought us to revenue surging over 9,000%.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is pretty big.
Great point. Now we've been talking a lot about these former mining names that are trying to get into the AI space and basically become data centers. CleanSpark, Mara, Riot, they're all involved in that. Let's talk about Mara's report. They missed 61 pennies, negative EPS. The street knew they were not going to be profitable, but they didn't think it was going to be as bad. Only 46 pennies the street was looking for in terms of earnings. That's a meaningful miss, and that contributes to a pattern of earnings underperformance specifically for this company. Revenue, $174.6 million. That beats the estimates by about 9.5% of 159.6. Top line B, that shows mining economics are remain supported, but we'll have to wait and see if they can actually get a little bit profitable. The stock setup likely hinges less on earnings, though, and more on Bitcoin direction, if you believe they still are going to do that, since Mara trades more as like a leveraged BTC beta than a traditional operating business. Shares were already up about 44% year to date. So positionings were a little bit elevated here. Consensus forward views remain constructive. Next quarter seen as negative 22 pennies EPS on a little bit less than $200 million in revenue. Full year estimates improving as well. The sector context does matter here. Crypto miners remain momentum vehicles tied to BTC's price, but as we've been seeing, they're shifting into the AI data center space. Bottom line, earnings miss hurt the fundamental story, but if Bitcoin, at least for the moment, and as long as this company focuses on mining still, traders might ignore it. So we'll have to wait and see if this is able to retrace. But Mara, let's just check quickly before we go to Adara, is down 7.33% on the day, and it is SSR, meaning it's off the lows, Adara.
He is specifically speaking about inflation and oil, two things he's spoken a lot about as of late, saying, quote, our inflation is short term, and that, quote, you're going to have a gusher of oil. He says that, quote, his policies are delivering results when it comes to inflation and the oil supply is going to be surging. So he's downplaying any concerns about inflation potentially stemming from that CPI report that we had this morning, and also saying again here that oil, they're not too worried about here. They're going to have a gusher of oil. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, your boy Joey Option is going to go take off. Get ready to fill in for Katina Man. We're going to talk for the next 30 seconds, and then my man Neil is going to, no, I'm just joking. We're going to give him a little bit of time here, guys. All right, let's go through the small cap watch list to see what is moving. But there was that new one, AEVA, I think it was called. Well, and it has failed and failed pretty miserably here. It's pretty much at the local area low, having lost $12 on the way at 11.5. This one feels like an aggressive short. STAK was good to us. Shout out to the individuals in the chat for pointing this one out to me. It did fail VWAP, finding support for whatever reason at 145, but the closing prints were all around 150. Watch for a lookout, I should say, for a clearing of 160 again. This one could try to make a move above the 1 3/4 and make a move into 2. That's STAK. How's AEHL? Another one I had trouble trading today, and you can kind of see why. It would make area highs, then immediately retrace, losing VWAP multiple times. I felt this was a bit of a tougher trade, maybe a little tougher than the chart actually shows there. USBC was far and away my best trade. I had a bias that this was going to hit $1, especially having gotten up to 88 pennies. Usually, you glance at that dollar, didn't quite happen. So there was certainly a convicted seller in the high 80s. And here we are, though. We're below 80 pennies, but we're still holding VWAP. What I don't like about this is the umpteen amount of lower highs. It feels like it might be just setting up here for a loss of the volume weighted average price. And the big name on the street yesterday was BuzzFeed, ripping in the aftermarket at around 530. It didn't quite make it anywhere near the highs that we saw yesterday, which was about 2 1/4. This one couldn't even clear 2. Pre-market, after the bell, or otherwise, it's been basically sideways.
which isn't that bad if you're looking for a multi-day play. So watch out for tomorrow to hold yesterday's close and to actually take out that 2.25. So if you have side charts, leave BuzzFeed on there. You never know how this one's going to end up. And then TDIC was also a good one, Joey. This one got up into about 245. We had a much bigger print, though, in the pre-market into 260. I had a bias that this one was going to hit 250. Another good trade we had here. We'll close negative on the day. We were positive yesterday, negative today. Hopefully, we'll end up the week green. But for the moment, we'll have to wait and see what tomorrow brings a small cap gap world. But you guys wait no longer. The big boys, as they're known, are on that side of the screen. I'll see everybody tomorrow bright and early.
No,